Good evening, people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope that I'm audible. It looks like I'm audible, but I'm going to do my usual test and ask you to let me know if you can hear me loud and clear, and we'll get the ball rolling. I don't know if it's loud and clear. Hello, King, and everyone in the chat. Hi, Tracy. How you doing? Good to see you. Didn't catch you in yesterday's live stream, but I'm guessing you didn't get the notice. I didn't send out my usual reminders like I usually do on Patreon and in the Discord. I think this is my 4th live stream this week, so I've been going pretty hard. And actually, I'll be going live tomorrow. Fantastic. Thank you for the feedback. Design Research in Wesker. You can hear me all loud and clear. That's fantastic. Tomorrow I'll be going live on Kweli Mika's channel. So please join us for part 2 of our dismantling of Metatron. It will be worth it. I know we kind of went off on a tangent in the first one, but I think for the first one there was a lot more there was a lot more novelty to it because it's the first time that we've done a live stream together. So I think we had all of that ground to cover in terms of kind of like fanboying over each other's content because we are genuine fans of each other, which is actually really nice. But I think we've crossed that bridge now. So now we can just kind of I think on the second part, we'll be much more down to business. And we'll really, I think, go to town taking his video apart. So if that sounds enjoyable to you, please do head over to Kwela Mika's channel. Could one of the admins, I got 3 online. How privileged. Aket, Kapruki, and West got all 3 of you online today. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Saturday seemed to be a good time. I'm telling you, it took a lot for me to decide to do my live stream today. I was like, oh my god, Saturday, maybe I'll cancel and do this one another time. But seeing how kind of like semi popping everything looks like it is, I think I might have to like sacrifice the occasional Saturday because having 3 of my moderators online at once is a real privilege. If one of you could pop a link into Kwela Mika's channel so people can obviously just subscribe or put a notification up for that live stream that we've got tomorrow. I'm not sure if he's actually posted it yet, actually, in saying that. So maybe just subscribe and wait for it. But I think we've informally agreed that tomorrow evening we'll be doing a live stream part 2 to our kind of like our Metatron series. I shouldn't really call it a series, but it kind of is. So yeah, there you go. Well, yes, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Saturday. Oh, that's a lovely question. How do you donate towards my hard work? I'm never gonna stare that one in the face. I have a PayPal, but I've never taken donations on it before. So you're very welcome to, I think Patreon might be the best way. I think you can do one-off donations to Patreon and you can do live chats and super chats, but take a large amount. But if it's convenient for people, I appreciate it, and I like to show my thanks here on the channel. So yeah, kind of take your pick. If neither of those are for you, let me know kind of in the comments, and I'll see about maybe getting a special PayPal maybe set up just specifically for that purpose. But I appreciate you looking into that because I mean, I don't obviously beleaguer the point, but I am waiting to kind of reach a critical mass that will allow me to do my research full time. I don't want to rely on people's donations to do that, so I have to, in essence, build the channel up, and I have to also build up, give value basically back to you guys as the community. So see what things I can offer people that really do kind of like they're willing to make an investment towards. But in saying that, I obviously appreciate every single donation that I get because it does help me get that step closer. Research has been going fantastic at the moment. I know I haven't posted a long video for a while, but we've done a few live streams, and on top of the few live streams that we've done, I've posted a few shorts, but there will be kind of like hopefully a nice cluster of new long videos going up soon as well. I've just got so many subjects that I'm attacking. It's kind of like finishing each one can be really difficult because what essentially happens is I'll start on a topic and I'll start researching, I'll start writing it, and then as I research one topic, a whole new topic will come out of the research I'm doing. And I'll be like, okay, I need to start that now, and then I'll start doing that, and it'll distract me from finishing the last one. Lo and behold, you got probably like more than 24 open topics and scripts that I'm writing at the moment. So there you go. But anyway, that's a long story short, and that's enough waffling, and that's enough time for people to join. So I want to get straight into it. So this is part 2 of my hidden in plain sight in the Berlin Museum. So essentially, I took a trip to Berlin, and I went to the Neues Museum of Berlin, which was surprisingly well stocked with African artifacts. These Europeans never cease to amaze me. Yeah, they really are very, very kind of. It's amazing that it's 2024 and all of these museums are still so well stocked and totally unrepentant about their very open theft. I was laughing about the fact that Berlin, as a tourist city, museum is a massive crux of the reason why people visit Berlin. And if there was just to give all the stuff back, that city might empty out, which is I find quite funny, But yeah, there you go. I went to the Neues Museum. It's incredibly well stocked, and I'd love to share or continue to share those kind of like artworks with you, and hopefully they'll add some value to you as well. So yeah, all of the 18th dynasty sculptures and carvings make the truth so clear. Yeah, I like that comment. Let me put that on the screen. I think that's absolutely true. 18th dynasty, I think all of them, to be honest with you, I used to be kind of like really bigly onto the 18th dynasty. It was one of the first that I saw in kind of graphic detail because they like to release images of it. So I thought, oh yeah, 18th dynasty, that's really the one. And then suddenly as you kind of like you stay in the space for a bit longer and you start really digging into it, you start realizing that there are artifacts just as good or if not even better in the Middle and the Old Kingdom. So but I totally agree with you. 18th dynasty, if you've seen that, that bust of Queen T must have been a kind of gateway to many people into the world of an African ancient Egypt, because they've done such a very good job at only putting to the forefront very questionable pieces. And that was, I think, one of the main themes of the live stream that I started last week, was that, there are questionable pieces. Nefertiti's bust is undoubtedly one of them. And it's, they make sure they separate and they create as much space between how many African pieces you see in a row. Actually, you've got to see something really funny. Let me dive in, because I feel like I just need to kind of like dive in and let you know what time it is. This will be enjoyable. I hope you do enjoy it. Let me just pull up my full screen and let me get underway. So I think we finished, to answer your question, Gloria. I'm in the UK, so I'm in London. I think we finished up here last. Yeah, we finished up here last week when we were doing the first live stream, and one of the reasons I really obviously had to really take a picture of this, and this is actually a picture of a so it's a picture of a exhibit that they're about to open in the Neues Museum. And one of the reasons I took this picture, and I really love this because I hadn't seen this before, So for those of you who might be familiar with the Tomb of Hoy or the Tomb of Horemheb or the tomb of, there's a few kind of like who's the one with the dancing girls? I can't remember. Wesker will remember. There's all those kind of tombs that kind of people are familiar with. This is one that I hadn't actually come across before, and I was like, these pieces are absolutely amazing. So this is the tomb of Usa, I think it was. Yeah, tomb of Usa. And once again, what was amazing about it is another one of these tombs that shows, and this is, remember I was just saying a minute ago about the fact they like to separate the African pieces. Another thing they like to do is they like to only present the pieces that show, African women using that kind of, with that yellow undertone, which they present as the top tone, and say, oh look, they were yellow skinned. Actually, no. Majority, I will say, of ancient Kemetic artwork showed the men and women with very little or no difference in terms of their skin tone, as we are seeing here. Okay, so reddish brown used for the men and the women throughout. Okay, so so this is the tomb of Usa, and yeah, this is got some really fantastic pieces here. So I'm gonna just kind of like scroll through some of them that I captured. I think I mentioned last week about how this just looks so regional. You know, you look at the not only just looking at the African features, which are clear to see, and this is one of the things. Like I said, the details of the pieces are very very clear to see. You know, this could be almost this could be a portrait of Nada, who I had on a live stream yesterday. You know, this could easily be her side profile. Everything matches from features to um, the kind of like complexion that's being shown here. These are all tonalities, all tones of Africans. The ones that have been slightly faded, we can still see that's the tone of an African person. So, you know, and obviously the hairstyle there. I think I've also pushed the fact that this hairstyle is sister locks, and I think I showed you guys the image of that before. So these are very very thin locks. That was the national adornment, because we know that because we see it in close up. We've seen close up examples of what this hairstyle is. It's called the what it's called in Egyptology is called the tripartite, but essentially it's just really really thin locks, and it's a continuation of the short twist, which was the kind of like hairstyle used at a very very when the hair was very short. Let me know if you're having any issues with the stream, guys, in the comments. And my comments aren't updating, which means I'm behind slightly. Bear with me. Here we go. Yeah, maybe they are actually. Cool. So let me keep moving. We have this image. It's just a kind of more wider view of the one that I just showed you there. So you can see these Kemetic women holding the lotus flowers. And then we have the men here. I think it's got a description of what they're doing here, because I couldn't tell you off head. Maybe you guys have but you can see once again, look at the range in tonalities they've been so deliberate in portraying to you. You know, how could anyone look at this and say, you know, here's a guy with, I was about to say maybe he's balding, but actually seeing the way they've fixed his hairline at the front here, maybe this is more of a deliberate style where it's kind of short at the front and then it's plaited at the back. Now, I don't believe the hair is deliberately white here, by the way, as well, because some people think that. I actually think this is just a reaction and the original dark paint is peeled off. So I actually believe all of these people had black hair to begin with, but you see that happen sometimes. And what happens is, the reason I come to that conclusion is because you see the hair actually matches the color of the unpainted tomb. So if this was like a light color, this is always a coincidence. You know, people always go, oh, well, look, they had light colored hair, which is absolutely fine, because they could dye it with henna, or they could be old. It could be, yeah, this is an old guy. I don't believe it's that though. You can see the unpaint. When the hair color is missing like this, you'll note that it's always the same color as the unpainted tomb wall. So that tells you that there's some kind of peeling that's gone on. They haven't just decided to leave that area without paint. So, you know, any kind of reaction. Remember, we're talking about things that are several thousands of years old. So, you know, these kind of things can happen. But you'll note that is the case. So even with the ones you've seen, maybe see ones where they've got plaits or twists, but the hair looks like it's yellow, you'll note the color of the tomb is yellow. It's exactly the same sandy color. So my kind of conclusion is that I haven't seen an example yet where an ancient Egyptian has not been depicted with black hair. I think they're always depicted with black hair, and the only case when they're not, the hair happens to be the same color as the unpainted tomb wall, which says to me that there's a paint peeling issue. So that's what my conclusion is. I'm happy to be corrected, but I haven't seen an example yet, and you are very welcome to cite me an example if you have one. I'm very open to be corrected in that regard. So yeah, look at all these different color tones of Africans. This just looks like, I mean, when I look at this, I'm reminded of that image of a young Nelson Mandela wearing the usek. I think the Nguni call it Nguni beads, but he wears the usek around his neck. Look at this. This is just African culture through and through. really wonderful African culture through and through. This is still alive in parts of Ethiopia and in South Africa amongst the Nguni, this style around the neck that they wore, the Usek. The different skin tones, you can find people with this complexion everywhere from Congo to South Africa. In fact, lots of people in Congo, lots of people in South Africa, lots of people in Nigeria, lots of people in Ethiopia among the Horn. These complexions, this range of complexions is very, very much a an African phenomena. So yeah, this is just to me a very African scene. I don't really think there's any two ways about it. I mean, I look at this display. You know, Tutumu Foi has always been one of my favorite in terms of showing the tonality, but this might very well overtake it. I'm being honest with you, this might very well. I'm actually really excited to see this full exhibit go up because look at this. And it's amazing because they're being, I don't know if they're just deciding to be more open with this now, but, you know, I would say a decade ago, they would have hidden tombs like this from us. They would have hidden. So I don't know why they're all of a sudden so bold as to just show us these very blatant, obvious Africans wearing their twisted, long African hair. I don't know what is causing the boldness of it, but, you know, I'm not going to complain. It's fantastic for us. We get to consume, you know, very, you know, real ancient Kemetic culture here. So look, here's those hairstyles again. Once again, these, I mean, actually looking at these could be deliberately white. So these, these could be old men, you know, looking at these men. Maybe not this one. This one doesn't look like it's deliberate, but these ones, perhaps, I don't know. I could be persuaded to believe that these were deliberately white to show that they're old. I don't know. I'm on the fence. What do you think, guys? I'd like to hear in the comments. Let's get some honest feedback about the color of these men's hair. Obviously, it's a picture of a picture, so we're not getting the most. If I was directly in front of the tomb, I'd probably be more confident to lean one way or the other, but it would be good to hear. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Jonathan Waters. You are single-handedly funding the King's Monologue experiment. And I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Checking in another long work day. Indeed. It's late and we're here. We're live streaming and we have to keep it moving, man. But I appreciate you joining us, just like everybody. Thank you very much for joining the live stream. Okay, let's move. I'd love to get some. I'd love to get some feedback on what people's thoughts are. I've been up in my Medunetta skills, by the way, so I'm actually making a bit of progress. I can't read it raw, but I'm definitely getting to the stage where I'm starting to recognize some of the glyphs, some of the orders, whether or not they're, you know, pictographs or phonetics. It's kind of beginning, like I recognize those three stripes straight away. That means that's a plural, basically. So there's a determinative here. I'm not sure what it is, but it's basically suggesting that this word is a plural. So I will come back. Don't worry. Give me a few weeks, and I will be reading this right off the wall and telling you exactly what these things say. Yeah, we'll get there. There, that's the glyph for land, or not land. Sorry, that's the glyph for village or city. So that's the determinative, letting know that. So this hieroglyph here is telling us something about a city, something about or the name of a city or a place or a village, or perhaps even a nome. And we obviously have a cartouche there, which is giving us the name of either a ruler or a deity. So I'd be very interested to see that. Okay, so yeah, lots of interesting things going on there. So here's just a bit of is this detail about the tomb of Usa? No, this is talks about looting and destruction. I think I spoke about that. Let's read this. I think I did speak about this in the last stream, but let's just quickly go over it. So, where are the stolen objects? What is missing? All tombs of the Kubet El Hawa North have been looted and partly destroyed between 2011 and 2013. Yeah, I think I did speak about this. So this is funny because someone did mention, this was the time between the uprising. Do you remember the Arab Spring, as they called it, which everyone was celebrating as being such a wonderful time? And the irony is, during the Arab Spring, more damage was done to African antiquity than has been done in a long time. So much damage was done during the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring doesn't seem like it was a good time for us as Africans. That's just the reality of it. You know, let's put it in perspective. We had all of our sacred sites looted and ransacked. We had people make off of antiquities. We had the library of Timbuktu burned, and we had an African leader and his entire family murdered on the African continent by an American president, a black American president. You know, this is that was not a good time for us, the Arab Spring. It really wasn't, and it was a real shame to see. But there you go. In the tomb of Usa, so that's the guy whose tomb this is. The architrave above the second doorway has been hacked out with brute force. Thanks to Egyptian inspectors, this lintel was seized inside a private location inside the village. In 2020, we reinstalled the lintel in its original place. I wonder if there's any convictions made for people who loot and destroy antiquities in Egypt, or if it's just kind of a slap on the wrist. That would be interesting to know. Other objects are irrevocable, like the grape decor on the west wall. During the attempt of hacking out the scene, the robbers smashed the stucco into thousands of fragments. Sometimes I'm very kind of like interested to know, how much of this is accidental. Because if we're looking at the Africanicity of the two of this, Usa stele, if we're looking at the Africanicity of it, something tells me any accompanying artifacts would have been very undoubtedly and unequivocally and unashamedly African. And it's funny that it sounds to me like they're basically saying they've all been destroyed now, which is a real shame. Thank you for the important work. We all appreciate it, and thank you for that generous donation, Jason. I appreciate that, and thank you. What can I say? Just be engaged really today. Ask me questions, because I'm keeping a very close eye on the comments as I'm kind of like scrolling through. The Wesek are very popular in many parts of Africa, not Europe. The Wesek around their necks are popular all over in modern day Africa, not Europe. Absolutely. I mean, Yonaka, that's exactly what we're saying. I totally agree with you. The Usek or Sek, however you pronounce it, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly. But yes, it's very, very... Actually, I'll be interested to know, Yonaka, if you do know, is it still called the Usek in any parts of Africa? Or do we have a different name for it? Because I just call it Nguni neck beads when it comes to South Africa. At least that's what I search for. It would be lovely to hear what the traditional name is and hear if there's any reflection, perhaps closer to home, maybe along the Horn, where I know it's definitely in some of the Ethiopian groups. Do they use it there? Or at least do they use that name to call it? Do they call it the Isek, or do they call it something else? It'll be very interesting to know. But yeah, let's move on. So who was Usa? Usa was mayor of Elephantine and was responsible for the administrative duties of the island. Only one text mentions further aspects of his duties. He was chief of police. Oh, look at that. Overseer of countries of gold and scribe of the district of Elephantine. Chief of police. I didn't know they had police, let alone chief of police. That's really interesting. Obviously, he bore no religious titles. His wife, Tuju. Just look at these African names, Usa and Tuju. How are people in any doubt that these people are African? Usa and Tuju. We're going to be looking at Queen Taye's bust later today. We'll be looking at King Tutu and Amen. These are just the names are almost stereotypically African. Amenhotep. I mean, come on. So anyway, his wife Tuju was a favoured one of Anuket. The couple seemed to have been childless. Usa lived during the reign of Amenhotep III, and as far as the stylistic features allow a further specification, the second half of the reign seems possible. So there you go. What a tomb. I look forward to getting more into the relics of Usa's tomb. They give us so much. Wonderful steles. So I can't remember what this was a depiction of, but it was interesting. So I took a picture. So this is circa 200. Architecture with two lions and the god Ammon as a ram. So this is Sudan. So I think I'm entering into the Meroe slash Napata region now. Now, just to preface this, imagine I've entered the museum, and when I say everything to do with ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet is behind glass or behind plexiglass. There's no touching it, there's no interacting with it. There's so much respect that they show to that. Now, this exhibit also has a relatively large Meroe slash Napata, which is obviously Kushite slash Nubian. And I do say Kushite slash Nubian deliberately because Nubia, long story short, Nubia was a part of Egypt. Kush was not. And this is one of the obfuscations that they give us, because everything that came from the nome of Tarseti, which we know to be the first nome of Kemet, they happen to classify as Nubia. And yet, according to the Egyptians, that was a part of their land. That was the first nome. So there's a lot of kind of like deliberate obfuscation, but I'm not going to go into that into too much detail today. The point I'm making is when you get into the Meroe slash Napata region, which covers Kushite relics and Nubian relics, there's no plexiglass. It's just kind of like touch what you like. These are several thousand-year-old artifacts, but the difference is they know these ones were made by, obviously they know the ancient Egyptian ones were made by black Africans, but these are black Africans that they claim and were not black Africans. But when you get to the place that they know was unequivocally black Africans, it's kind of like it turns from a museum to a petting zoo. It's just like, gosh, man, come on, guys, man, give us a break here. This is too much, man. Show the ancients some respect, man. You got their stuff on, you got their stuff on display. Anyway, so let's move on. Standing figure of an Apartan queen, probably Amenemhotep. Now, look, guys, one of the things I'm actually going to admit, and this is, I wouldn't say I was embarrassed, but it's just something that kind of like struck me. And I said, yes, I do need to definitely build on my knowledge of Kushite and Nubian relics. I need to build my Kushite and Nubian history is, it's definitely not anywhere near where my kind of knowledge level is when it comes to ancient Kemet. So that's definitely one of my kind of to-dos as I build along on this journey, but we'll get there in the end. So here we go. This is kind of what remains. And this is a ongoing theme, by the way, heads knocked off, anyway, this is what we have to deal with. But I got a side view, and I think I got a front view as well. Okay. And your one thing that you notice as well is that there's just not that much difference. So it's amazing they accept that the ancient Nubians and the ancient Kushites were black. They claim that the ancient Egyptians slash Kemetic people weren't black, and yet they always just look identical. Their relics look identical. Their statues look identical. There's no difference in the features that you'll see in ancient Kush. It's clearly the same ethnic group of people, clearly the same facial composition, bodily composition, all that stuff that we've covered. And it just really kind of just leaves you kind of wondering what really are they playing at here? It's just like, guys, this looks exactly like the ancient Egyptian stuff, and neither of them look like the Europeans. Like, just let it go, It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. But anyway, let's read. So, relief with Queen Amani. So all of the Kushite rulers, or the Meroitic rulers, have the name Amani at the start. So I think Amani was a part of the title. So this is Amani Shaketo and her name in Meroitic hieroglyphics. That's interesting. It's interesting that I know her name is in the Meroitic hieroglyphics, but I'm sure they can't read Meroitic hieroglyphics. So where are that? So this is the Queen. And where are the Meroitic hieroglyphs? Oh, okay, so it's in a cartouche. So they know it's her because the cartouche appears, but I don't think they're able to read them. But I think some of those hieroglyphs are Kemetic. I know that one is. That's N. That's the sound for N. That's the only one I can make out. I can't make out the other ones. They've been deliberately kind of sabotaged here. I mean, there's something so deliberate about this sabotage as well. Yeah, sad to see. Um, yeah. Of course, they got the African body. Why do you think I got this? Why do you think I got the side view, RJ? Why do you think I got the side view? You know what it is, man. That's why I had to do the side view and the front view. Amani means power. Thank you, Wildflower, for that. Um, it's in all the names of their queens, though. So I'm just wondering if that's a thing. But anyway, let's. Is that what language does it mean power in? Is that in Meroitic, or is that in kind of neighboring languages? Perhaps is that Swahili? I don't know. You tell me, Wildflower. Let me know. Let me know. So here's another quite powerful piece. Look at that. Wonderful piece. I just want to zoom in there and give you guys a good view of that. And these are definitely, I mean, this is Mirror once again, but look, their glyphs are definitely not far off. Many of these glyphs are common in the Egyptian language. So I don't know if there's any confusion as to what these things say, because some of these look very readable. And actually, this does Swahili. I thought so. I thought you were going to say Swahili and Lagunda. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I've always strongly believed is that people always approach ancient Kemet as though it's a mono-ethnic state, and I never have. My point of view is that it was multi-ethnic. Okay, it's a similar state to your modern day Ethiopia or Nigeria, where you had multiple ethnicities, and in my mind, each of the spats or the gnomes represent a different ethnic group. So the reason the reason hieroglyphics worked is because hieroglyphics works as a lingua franca. So you'd be able to speak it in your own language, regardless of how it was written, and still formulate the words. So what you'd have is, lots of kind of dialects along the Nile as you move up and down the Nile. And just like they even say, like, basically a lot of the languages that have been classified as Niger Kordofan, for instance, they basically say those are just simply dialects of one another. They're not even separate languages. They're just dialects of the same language, but they've just diverged so much, but that you don't recognize them, but they still use the same kind of grammatical rules and approaches and sentence structures, to the point that you can identify that you're dealing with dialects. And if you just switch basically enunciations of certain words, you'll end up speaking the other language. So another language that does this is in China with Mandarin and Cantonese. Those are dialects of the same language. Beijing, Peking, they're the same. That's the same word. One's in Cantonese, one's in Mandarin, but it's the same word. So that's why the city changed from Peking to Beijing when it went from Cantonese to Mandarin rule. So it's quite interesting. But I think that this happens quite a lot. So a lot of languages that are classified as distinct languages aren't actually distinct. They're just dialects of one another. And I believe that's what you had along the along the Nile. And this is why you also find in those kind of environments that pictographics, which is what hieroglyphics are, that's a perfect environment to form a pictographic language, when you have lots of dialects of the same language. So you form a pictographic and an ideographic based language to be able to formulate rules and laws that everybody can read in their own dialect. So that's kind of where my head is at. But yeah, let's have a look. I want to see if I've got a description for these pieces. Have a look at this one. Beautiful. And one thing I love about the kind of like Meroitic kingdoms is the fact they were unashamedly ruled by queens. And this is one of the things that I think gets lost when we start researching African civilizations. We do have this kind of focus on patriarchy that has been given to us by Europeans, but we even ignore the clear matriarchy that existed in ancient Kemet. Okay, we undermine the role of women and queens. And Meroe was unashamedly ruled by queens, just like Ile-Ife, okay, was unashamedly ruled by queens. There are many African kingdoms that openly were ruled by women. And yeah. No, Nerd Large, you are incorrect. Cantonese and Mandarin are definitely dialects of the same language. So not even a doubt. I've spoken to many Chinese people about that, so I'm not. There's no question marks there for me. They can read the same script, which is kanji. I think it's kanji. So they read the same kanji script, and read exactly the same language in their read exactly the same language regardless of how it's written. They can both read it in their own dialects. So yeah, they're definitely dialects. They're not that divergent. It's another piece. Look at this. These are wonderful. So these are all, and like I said, these you can just touch all of these. Anyone could just go there and just start rubbing away at the face. It's just really quite sad to see. But I just want to kind of share some of these images. They really are wonderful. So let's have a look. What is that? What does that say? I've got to turn my neck sideways now. Actually, I've got a rotation by the way. There we go. Based for a bark of the royal couple Nata Kamani and Amani Toure. So obviously we know that is Kushite once again. Let's have a look. So we have the same Kemetic gods there. Exactly the same Kemetic gods, which is the Anubis. So it makes me think perhaps they were, reading some of these scripts, at least the ones that use the Kemetic hieroglyphs. Typical African features, but obviously these are Kushites, so they've allowed it to survive. It's like almost with this one, like they got halfway through hacking through the nose and someone was like, hey, leave it. They're black, it's okay. Don't worry, leave this one. It's okay. They can have that one. That's kind of, I had a little giggle to myself when I saw that. Because if this was a Kemetic stele, and like I said, 8th dynasty Kemetic stele, they would have had a way at that nose. So they got halfway, and then this one, no, leave it. Let him breathe. Let him breathe. So there you go. A couple of cartouches there with the names. So all of this, and I think this is another thing. Look at the cultural continuity that exists between these two nations, man. Just look at the cultural continuity. How can anyone deny? It's like, I know they like to say, oh, well, Kush just copied Kemet. It's like, come on, like this is not a case of one nation copying the other. Yeah. Yatunde said the accent took me out. Thank you. That's the accent I heard in my head. Anyway, yeah, this is not a case of kind of like one nation copying the other. This is clear comfortability in this culture. This is clearly as old and as real a culture for the Kushites and Nubian kingdoms as it was for the Kemetic kingdom. It's clear they have the same culture. There's very, very little difference in what's being practiced. It's almost like when it comes to, even though ancient Rome and Greece were very, very different, they have this beautiful Hellenistic culture, or the classics. They have these terms that kind of like group them into this unbroken continuity of Western civilization. I know some people kind of say Nubio-Kemetic or this, that, and the other. It would be nice to have a term to just kind of like, we say Nile Valley civilizations. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. In fact, we don't need to change that. These Nile Valley civilizations, just look at the absolute continuity between them. These were, if you're going to, culturally were one people. I'm not going to say that they were always one land or were always unified, but culturally these were a single group of people. If you're going to talk about that subject of quote unquote race, then you're not going to get a better example of a single race than Kush Kemet, and Nubia. You're not going to get a better example of a single race, you know. And Wildflower said Kush is the mother of Kemet. Yep, I think we have enough evidence to understand the direction in which a lot of that influence went as well. A lot of that influence went from Kush to Kemet. But we're going to have to do a lot of work establishing the real kind of the real birth date of Kush. They've done their best to destroy Nubia. If you were on a live stream yesterday, you would have heard from Sister Nada about the flooding of the Nile Valley. How much was lost? It's an unbelievable amount of antiquity that was lost there. People really don't realize how vast the area that they flooded was, and how much antiquity was lost, and how much they've tried to destroy. But there's still more, so we need to do our work to make sure even what's going on in Sudan, doesn't destroy everything that's there. Let's move on anyway. So we've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to start moving a little bit faster, because this is what I did last time. I was just giving too much exposition on each piece. So this is, well, from appearance, Osiris with Ma'at. No, it's not Ma'at, because he needs the feather on hair for Ma'at, doesn't it? I think I'm looking at that headpiece and I'm saying Hathor, but I could be wrong there. But that's isn't Ma'at with the wings, so I'm not sure. Let's have a look what the description says. So it's a stele of Prince Taki Damani with cursive Meroitic inscription. Okay, but he's obviously in the. I find it weird they didn't mention that he's obviously in the form of Osiris here, in the exact stance. Once again, that cultural continuity is very, very clear to see. Someone mentioned Nubio-Kemetic. That leaves out Kush though, doesn't it? But I don't mind that. I don't mind that name. I don't mind that name either, to be totally honest with you. Okay, so I think this is the kind of zoomed out of that piece that I showed you a close up of the face a moment ago. You can see the separate pieces that have been salvaged. I mean, it's great that we have it, but it's quite sad. So you can see there. So that there would have been the hand and the wing of Ma'at, like we've just seen in the other depiction as well. So this clearly was kind of like a pose, or an expression that the Kushite rulers would do. That's very sad. Someone said they plan to let more water into Egypt again. I saw a video about it recently. There's always something heartbreaking going on. Every time we make a stride forward, it's like they always want to set us a step backward. It's very sad. Sometimes they're relentless in their destruction, aren't they? These pieces were really, really hard to make out. But what I love as well, if you've seen my documentary on the crowns of Kemet, and I speak about the fact that the crowns reflect the hair shapes, and I love the fact that we see exactly the same continuity of crowns in ancient Kush, but in Kush they all preferred these shorter, rounder hairstyles, so their crowns are round to match the fact that they like to keep their hair short. And I love that they still had the same uraeus. Okay, it was slightly different. I know they like to use the double cobra rather than the single cobra that they like to use in Kemet, but they still had the same style of crowns, which I think is absolutely wonderful. These bags that they carry in here, I don't know those of you who know about this, but these bags that they carry, these have been seen, or at least almost exact depiction of these have been seen in Mesoamerica as well. So this culture was contemporaneously almost at the same time period was happening in America, and that's very, very interesting. That's not a subject that I'm well enough equipped to be able to expand on, but that's just something that literally just triggered as I saw this. And here's a couple of cartouches there. Okay, and recognize, like I said, a couple of the N up there, N, and then I can see the S there. That's all I can make out. Obviously, there's Ankh there. So if I knew the name of this person, we'd be able to say what the name was. I wonder if I captured that in the next one. Sometimes I got the plaques. No, oh, actually, maybe it's just the. I mean, this is an extensive piece. Lots of writing there, and that's all. This is all Kemetic hieroglyphs, so this should be translatable, I'd imagine. So there it is. Without, it actually looks better without the flash. Some parts do, some parts don't. Oh, I didn't get the plaque for that. That's a shame. Oh, let's go back. So this is looks like would have been Isis and Osiris. Sorry, Isis suckling Horus? No, Osiris. Isis suckling Osiris. No, all set. Yeah. So this would have been Isis suckling Osiris, or what's how do you say Aset suckling Heru? No, not Heru. Orsa. I always try to remember the real names. So Aset suckling Orsa would have been, but it's been obviously looks like it's been hacked, so we can't see it anymore. Let's spin this round. See a statue of Isis lactans with a Meroitic inscription. It would be nice to know what the inscription was. They might not know. Okay, so this is an interesting piece. This is once again, this is Meroitic, and this is these are very grand pieces as well. There's nothing small about these. So it's a statue of squatting hawk, upper part, modern, supplemented, donated by Pharaoh Amenhotep III, and that's 18th dynasty, Napata. So it's donated to Nubia from Kemet. So once again, showing the close relations. Do they have these kind of donations taking place from Kemet to other nations? Did Kemet donate like that to Mesopotamia or to Syria? Do we know that? I don't know if it's the case, but I don't know. It seems like these kind of exchanges, this close relationship that existed between Kush and Kemet is not one that's reflected globally. Just got another view of that same statue. Okay. Then a headpiece there of an African. I'm just trying to remember what this was. So let's have a look here. What's our description? So, no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Ointment spoon, head shape of a nose, not ointment spoon. Vessel carved with representation of giraffe. Captured Nubians painted on sandals. Part of mummy cases. Let's see that. I wonder if that is really what's being depicted there. They always like to talk about captured and slavery, risk protectors. Okay, so this is that not the right. Oh, down here maybe. Let's have a look. Oh, here you go. So figurehead of a Nubian woman in fuzzy wuzzy hairstyle and two dwenons. I mean, where did they get that word fuzzy wuzzy from? You'll tell me that's what the glyphs said. Fuzzy wuzzy. Good Lord, these people got no respect. 1 second. Where is their citation for referring to this as a fuzzy wuzzy hairstyle? And actually, look, you know what? This brings me on to a point that I'm gonna raise. Another point that really, really grinds my gears. Yeah. So they will often talk about the fact that the ancient you know you're laughing about the fuzzy wuzzy, man. That's too much, man. Wow. Sorry, but yeah, they'll talk about the ancient Egyptian, they'll talk about the steles. So you'll look at steles, and some of the steles will depict Nubians, and they'll say, "Oh, look, they depicted Nubians with funny features," and I'm like, "What do you mean they depicted them? Well, look at them. They depicted them with funny features and funny hair." I'm like, No, they just depicted them with their hair and their features. You think their features are funny because you're R word. Clearly, you are capital R word, hard R word. You're a fascist, So you think when Africans depict other Africans with our genuine features. So, for instance, if you was to take a Yoruba artifact, maybe one of the knock ones with the kind of like exaggerated African features or the exaggerated features and place that in ancient Kemet, they'll be like, ha ha, look at them, they're making fun of you, ha ha. It's like, no, they're not. Excuse me. They're not making fun. Yeah, they're just depicting them, either exactly as they see them or, exaggerating the features that make those people unique. And this is the thing. So fuzzy wuzzy. I mean, what the absolute? Yeah. Anyway, let me just move on, man. These people, man, they're absolutely too much, man. So there's some of the bangles, and look, this one said captured Nubian. Yeah, captured. This is what they've got. Look at the size of this, and they've described it as captured Nubian. Yeah, here captured Nubian painted. No, that's painted on sandals. That's the wrong one. I'm jumping the gun there. What does it say here? It says ear or no. I don't know where that one is. I maybe don't have the plaque for that one. Okay, I won't accuse them of something they haven't done. So this is just a picture of an African. So there you go. I'll let that one slide. I've got no choice. Okay, so this one, I don't know. Let's have a look what this one is. This looks like, I would say, Ptolemaic era. Straight away, just looking at it. Yeah, this looks like Ptolemaic era. So this will be Ptolemaic or Roman era. I'd even say this is Roman era. Let's have a look and see what we've got. So Nubian and Egyptian. Oh, interesting. I mean, I was just looking at the hair and I thought maybe we'll have something that's Roman era there. But it says Nubian and Egyptian. Lower Nubia, cultural area between the first and the second cataract. Okay, no, this isn't the plat. This is for the area. That's not for what I'm looking at there, because that did surprise me. Berlin has the Prussian expedition to the Nile Valley from 1842. Okay, let's have a quick read of this. So it says Berlin has the Prussian expedition to the Nile Valley from 1842 to 1845 to thank for its rich collection of antiquities from the area now known as North Sudan. So that's a long time ago that they took these relics. Really, really long time ago. There lies one of the roots of pharaonic Egypt. A succession of pottery provides a full and progressive chronology of the period from the 5th millennium BC through to the early Christian era. The Semna Stele, circa 1870 BC, stands for Egyptian colonialism. Look at this, Egyptian colonialism in Nubia. No such thing. No such thing. These people are just so disrespectful. Egyptian colonialism in Nubia. No such thing. Just, like I said, we're talking about nations with, first of all, Nubia is a part of Kemet. Okay, so let's just make that straight. And secondly, there was no Egyptian colonialism of Kush, just like when Kush reclaimed Egypt from the Persians, I believe, for the 25th dynasty. Kush didn't colonize Egypt. Okay, and it's funny because they'll never describe that as the Kushites colonizing Egypt. They'd say they conquered it, or they ruled it, or they co-ruled it, but they'll never say that they colonized it. So it's just interesting to see their kind of application of language and how it changes. It's always so defaming and always so derogatory when it comes to anything that's African. They always try and squeeze in this kind of servant perspective. Black people always have to be servants, always have to be slaves, always have to be downtrodden in some way. They're so disrespectful, and it's really important that you just always prick your ears up and always just be aware whenever you hear slavery. 99% of the time it's BS. When you hear servants, when you hear it's just presentism. They're just literally, you know, you know, projecting present circumstances to a time period that they don't apply, and it's really annoying. Anyway, stands for Egyptian colonialism in Nubia, while the Nastasen stele 327 BC is emblematic of the independent kingdom of Napata. The altar from Wadban Naga and the gold jewelry of Queen Amani Shaketo, 1st century AD, which is on display in the treasure chamber, are a unique legacy from the kingdom of Meroe. Archaeological fieldwork in recent decades has made clear the historical significance of North Sudan as the southernmost region of the ancient world and as a bridge between Africa and the Mediterranean world. No, the bridge between Africa and the Mediterranean world would be Kemet. Okay? Yeah, don't try it. Because you notice that this is very clever language as well. Because if Kush is the bridge between Africa and the Mediterranean world, then by default that makes Kemet the Mediterranean world. Okay? Because Kush is the bridge. So therefore the Mediterranean, when you're in Kemet, you must be in the Mediterranean. No. Don't try that. Weren't born yesterday. Anyway, let's move on. I'm just keeping my eye on the comments, see if there's anything that's worth mentioning. No. You guys look like you're having a good old conversation there, and it doesn't look like it needs me. Okay. Let's move on. So this is Amenhotep II. Okay, so we're back into... Oh no, we're still in Sudan. So this is still a Sudanese relic. So 18th dynasty. Upper part of kneeling figure of Pharaoh Amenhotep II. I always get a side view. Always like to see right around the piece. This is for when I come to do my reconstructions. I'm always thinking about this as well. So when I'm capturing them, I capture it from multiple views so that I'm able to do my reconstructions, because I like to have as many pieces as possible. So one day when I'm doing Amenhotep II, I will be revisiting that piece. I just captured this. I tried to capture when I saw, any kind of like steles of extensive medunetta. I tried to capture it so that I'm able to do my translations when I eventually get that far. This is quite a piece. Just wanted to capture it for how grand it looks. This was humongous. It was really, really big, and I was looking at it, and it was very interesting because we had this transition from what I'm assuming is iron to granite or granodiorite. So you had this kind of transition, and it was almost seamless. I was like, wow, what this? Yeah, every time you think you've seen everything there is to see, you just see something else that just kind of like really amazes you in terms of their skill. Absolutely amazing. So I said the great hunting scene from the Valley Temple of King Sahure. So this is, they had a couple of artifacts from Sahure, which was really interesting to see because I didn't know that these existed, but these were great to look at. So these are from obviously Old Kingdom, and you can see obviously Old Kingdom time. You see all the people there. You get a little remnant there of the original. Well, not even close, but I'd imagine these people would have all been kind of like a very dark brown color, but it's faded, or been, I think some people raised last time may have been sandblasted off, we don't know, but at least we got a little preservation of color there, because other than that, there's not much. But we still get obviously a very clear image of these African people or at least as much as we can see of them that survived. Here's a picture of the full stele. Now that was too high. I think I did try a zoomed image of that, but that was quite high up, so it's hard to get a detailed image. But you can see there's so little remaining. You know, it does my mind did boggle about how they actually transported this, you know. But yeah, this is from King Sahure's. I think this is Sahure's as well. So you see the Yusek on display, that wavy hairstyle that I think many people have made kind of like gone online and made kind of like composites showing that this is just like this, you know, for me, this just looks like waves. That just looks like waves to me. You know, once again, the ancient Kemetic people just giving us hairstyles that only Africans can achieve. You know, the once again the ball will be in your court. If you're saying there's nothing uniquely African about this, show me. You know, bring me the receipts, because I could post you 100,000 pictures of, you know, Africans and black people with that hairstyle. 100,000, but you have to show me. I'm just asking you to show me one non-African who's managed to achieve that kind of hairstyle, or someone who's not of black descent, I should say. But you can see there the original tone as well that's been preserved in the shoulder. And then that beard, which to me, in my mind, must be a clip-on. I think it's a clip-on. So I think the beard is just literally a clip-on. I tried to kind of show that in my recent reconstruction of Josa, where I had the kind of, and I think I did it with Eminem, had the third as well, where they kind of have this kind of like clip-on beard. So we put extensions in our hair. I think they put extensions on their chin. That's all I can think of. I can't figure out what they are. This is another one that I struggle with as well. This kind of like pointy skirt. I try and, you know, figure out what this kind of pointy loincloth is. I mean, it could be. I mean, this is just something I'm putting out there. But ancient Kemet, they were very big on kind of like phallic, kind of like, phallic iconography. So this could be, I mean, if you look at it, it could be a way of basically saying, hey, I'm well endowed. You know, and I know that sounds crazy, but actually that's not like really a hop, skip, and a jump. You can see, they've got statues of, I can't remember which deity it is. Min. Look up a statue of Min if you don't believe me. I think it's Min. Yeah, look up a statue of Min if you don't believe me, and you'll see how far they kind of take that phallic principle. So, you know. Yeah, I'll leave that there for you. Okay, this stele as well. So these men are doing some kind of work, Kemetic men doing some kind of work here. And once again, you can see that range of tones. Well, perhaps just a gradual fading towards the end. We're not sure, or it could be a range of tones. And look at the faces again. Hey, look, iconoclasm. These guys must all be rulers, because look, someone's thought it necessary to totally hack off their features. Look at this. Tell me that's not targeted destruction there. This is literally, people do not want you to identify these people by their face. That's just someone who's just gone in there and chiseled their faces away. So once again, making the iconoclasm argument, oh, well, they did that to stop the rulers from breathing. Who's this guy? What ruler is this guy? Is this a pharaoh doing some labor? What's your excuse there? Yeah, it doesn't quite add up, does it? Oh, this is a slightly clearer picture, so you can see that literally deliberate destruction. You don't get a single clean face across this entire stele, which is really sad when you think about how old this is. You know, this is Old Kingdom. It's heartbreaking. Okay, so that's a zoomed out image. Zoomed in, A little bit more detail so you can see there. Have a look at that. Really bad destruction there. It's a shame. Got a bit of a feature. A little bit. Half this kind of like half hacked. Haven't quite gotten full. It's like they kind of probably started hacking it and then went, she doesn't. If I've just hacked off the front there, it's enough to give him a slightly less prominent African look. Oh dear. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, I think that's enough of those. So this is King Nusere, protected by Wajet, receives life from Anubis. So 5th dynasty again, 2445 BC. So very old, very, very old. Some of the earliest works we're looking at here. Couple of survivors here, which is nice to see. Really lovely to see. These men have got very, very... This profile reminds me of the Twa people. That reminds me of the Twa people, that profile there. It's a very regional. So you can see very typically African people. It does, I mean, your mind, as we sit here on this live stream as Africans, the mind does boggle, doesn't it? That, anyone else who's not black, tries to claim this culture, because it's clearly just, it's black Africans. I don't know. It's bizarre. Go figure. It's funny, I'm recognizing some of these glyphs now, which is really nice. I think that's the mouth glyph. I don't know that one, but it's kind of like lost me a little bit. I know that one as well. That's the... I'm trying to remember my glyphs now. This is quite exciting because, I'm going from knowing nothing to knowing a little bit. Which is a little bit of progress, Let's just have a close-up look at these faces as well. I just want you guys to just enjoy this. These full lips. Always full lips. Always full lips. Yeah, haven't seen a pair of flat lips or thin lips in Kemet. I don't think I've ever seen a pair of thin lips in Kemet. I mean, how explain that one away? Yeah, you can do what you want with the nose, but I've never seen a pair of thin lips. You might see. I think the only statue that I can think of that actually has thin lips, the only one, and this is the only one that comes to any mind of reference that I think is genuine. 'Cause I do think it's genuine. Is the seated scribe. So the seated scribe is the one that they love to put on display everywhere. They put the seated scribe on Egyptian money. That's how much they love this dude. They don't know his name. He has no name. He has no cartouche. They don't even know if he's royal. He could have been a merchant, whose family decided to become, they wanted their son to become an Egyptian scribe. We don't know anything about this dude. But we know he's a scribe and he's just seated, a wooden statue. And they have gone to town with this. Oh, look at this wonderful seated scribe. What's his name? Oh, we don't know, but isn't he beautiful? It's like, you're a weird bunch, aren't you? But the only reason he's on display is because he's the only one that has basically thin lips. He's literally the only artifact that I can literally think of in all dynasties, across all, Old, Middle, New Kingdom. This is the only statue that I can think of that has really thin lips, as in proper pin thin lips. It's and to be honest with you, I've seen the original color on the seated scribe as well. So people say it's fake. I'm like, no, it's not fake. He used to have really dark skin, and you can see it on the legs, and they've rubbed it down, and they've sandblasted. But you can see the original images. He had very dark skin. And, his lips, when I say his lips are really thin, his lips are like Robert Mugabe's lips towards the end of his presidency. That's how thin his lips are. Yeah? They're not outside the range of African lips. Let's just to be clear about that. But I'm just saying, even in spite of the fact that it's within the range of African lips, it's still such a rarity to see, isn't it? Still such a rarity to see. Well, let's keep it moving. So yeah, I just got a close up of those eyes hacked out here, and that's a really odd form of sabotage, isn't it? To just hack out the eyes. Honestly, the first time I've seen that actually. Just the eyes. I know Joseph's statue, but on a stele, I don't think I've ever seen eyes just kind of like targeted in that way before. That's interesting. So that is procession of deities from the funerary temple of King Sahure. So I'm going to just go back. So does that mean, is that the same one? No, I think that's different. I was going to say, because it would be interesting if I knew that was King Sahure, I could add that to my thoughts when it comes to my reconstruction, because I like to take all angles in, but we can't really see anything there because it's all been hacked away. But I don't think this is King Sahure. This might be someone different, because I think this plaque is for this. So this is the procession of deities for King Sahure. Once again, all African. And there's those. Well, here's the mix. This the thin locks, the sister locks, like I've kind of displayed to you guys, and look, you can see that plaited beard as well, which I feel is an attachment. But you can see that plaited beard as well. It looks like kind of like really thin locks in the beard. I haven't figured out the beard thing yet. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've made a few guesses as to how it's made. But then, there's also that head covering that they wear as well, which I still have to figure out. I think I was mentioning that quite a lot on the live stream. So it's very interesting. But either which way, let's just for now call this locked hair, very thinly locked hair, which seems to be the kind of like, the approach. You can see the richness and the fullness of the skin, whereas you don't have anything here, literally not a cent of skin, not even a smidgen. It's even bizarre, not even within the crevices we don't have any skin, and that, any colour, and that's really, I don't know, that's quite bizarre. That's quite bizarre. It's almost like it was never coloured. Yeah, the scribe might have been a migrant. That's kind of my thought. Going back to that seated scribe, it could be anyone. The scribe could be a migrant, could be absolutely anyone. That's why I find it so hilarious. They give it such, credence. Because even here you can see some colours been managed to, even on the glyphs. Sometimes you do forget that the glyphs were coloured as well. And I was actually reading E.A. Wallace's Budge's work on the glyphs, and here's something that's really interesting. He was talking about the fact that colour represented meaning on the glyphs. So we see these kind of like uniform, monotoned glyphs, but he says sometimes glyphs were coloured, and within the same sentence they would use the same glyph but colour it differently, and that was evidence that they were trying to transmit a different meaning to the word based on the colour. But we've lost all that now. We don't have that anymore. So there's so much more even to the Kemetic language that, is no longer available to us or accessible to us. I just found that really interesting. So it was nice to see actually a glyph with a bit of colour on here to kind of show that, he was what he was saying definitely had some truth to it. So there goes another piece. So let's zoom in so you can just see the hair, the features. Very interesting. And look, some more coloured glyphs as well. It's like a band of colour that's almost survived here, which is really interesting to see. So Yanaka said the gems were taken out of the eyes. That would be interesting because I didn't know they placed gems in steles, but why not? You absolutely could be right. That would make sense. That would definitely give a motivation for them doing that kind of damage to the eyes. So maybe, excuse me. So maybe there were gems in the eyes. I think you could be right there. All right, I'm gonna zoom ahead a little bit because I do want to get to the 18th and 19th century busts now because we've done a bit of work on the steles. So I'm just gonna kind of like move forward without much accompanying dialogue. So let you see the images and then move forward straight away because I do want to kind of like move on from this area now. Now this is another photo of a photo. That hairstyle that we're very familiar with. It's kind of a short twist combined with a long twist on top. Very interesting hairstyle there. And let's see if we've got some words to go with this. So Amenhotep the Elder. Amenhotep the Elder was the mayor of Elephantine. Wasn't the other guy mayor of Elephantine as well? That was Usa. Was he mayor of Elephantine? And head of priests of Khnum, Satet and Anuket. He was married twice. His first wife, Hatshepsut, gave birth to Amenhotep the Younger. His second wife, Amenemopet, was the mother of their younger son, Neferhat. Amenhotep the Elder was in charge during the second half of the reign of Thutmose the Third. We do not know anything about the early career of Amenhotep the Elder. It is interesting to note that the position of a mayor of Elephantine during the early 18th dynasty was also covered. So it also covered the supervision of local temples. I'm not going to read all that. I'm going to skip ahead now. I'll go back. If you want to read it, feel free to hit pause when you play this back on a live stream. It's another wonderful stele. Once again, I can't emphasize how awe-inspiringly and amazing these steles are when you see them in person. They are really quite significant works of art. I actually got to thinking maybe they have. So I was looking at the consistency of how they do the hieroglyphs. Oh, I did manage to get some really good close-ups of the face glyph as well, which was really nice because they, one of the arguments you'll hear, because we know that the face glyph is a very African-looking face, which is wonderful because the ancients, they kind of left us with that to kind of say, look, when you have a face. So I think the face glyph is called Her, and it essentially is a determinative, so it represents I think it represents the singular, so it means that you're talking about a person, and yeah, so it's used fairly regularly, but they've kind of like now made up I've seen the argument being made, oh, it's very rare glyph, they barely used it, this, that, and these Eurocentrists coping with the fact that it's a black African's face. Like, it's not rare at all. It's used very extensively, and I have a couple of images of my own, so now I don't have to constantly, Google Lens and download. I actually have my own, which I'll be very happy to make available. So yeah. Oh, here's what. Look at that. Look at that. Just as I mentioned it, the very next image. So there you go. It's a lovely, wonderful African face. So I managed to get these. I was really happy about the fact that I was able to get a few images of the face glyph, which is really great. So there's my own. I will circulate these and I'll make sure these hit the web and everyone is able to access them. Love it. Something so tribal about it. And by the way, I'm not one that's really kind of affronted by the word tribe. I know some people find it offensive. I don't, for some reason. I just never have. It's probably because I used it growing up. So there you go. Just some close-ups of the actual full kind of glyph, or the full kind of inscription that I will be learning to translate. Like I said, I know that I think that's a H sound, so that's a H sound. So some of these I'm learning along the way. That's an N sound, that's Her, which is face, which is the kind of singular determinative. This one is a representation. This is a determinative to say that you're looking at kind of like a not a mountain range, or kind of like a hilly or valleys. So it can represent hills or valleys. So it's used kind of in the same way that we use the cross to represent a village or a town or metropolis of people or population. This is to represent a kind of like a hilly or mountain. So you're talking about a hilly or mountain determinative there. So yeah, this it's a very interesting language. I can't wait till I'm more fluent in it. Yeah, Tracy, thank you so much. Thank you so much. A $50 donation. I cannot say how thankful I am. Thank you. You're always so supportive of my work. It says, hi, King. Thank you for you generously imparting your knowledge. I consistently leave our interactions enriched with valuable insights surpassing what I initially brought to the table. Thank you. That warms my heart so much. I thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you especially. It's amazing. Okay, let's put a big smile on my face. Let's keep going. So yeah, this is a zoomed out view. I think I moved up a little bit more so I could get more of those inscriptions. Like I said, at a future time, I'll be able to translate them. And so, I mean, just another quick lesson as well. You can always know which way to read hieroglyphs. So if you have them in these kind of columns, you'll always read them from top to bottom. You never read from bottom to top. But hieroglyphs can move from left to right or from right to left. And the way you know which way to read it is you look at the way the animals or the people are facing. So in which case this hare is facing left, this bird is facing left. So you know you read towards the way they're facing. So you read into them. So you know that you're going to be reading this from this left column to the right, middle column, right column. So that'll be the direction in which you're reading, because you read into the way in which the pictograph is facing. So yeah. Okay, so some more steles here. And these were interesting because I think this is a mixture of, I think, prisoners, and because that person is definitely a captive there. So this might be some policing going on here, God knows. They already said they're chief of police. Let's see what the inscription says. So we have, I think, Tahuti there. That's like an ibis. Oh no, is that Anubis? That's kind of like almost in between. The nose is doing a weird thing. Let's have a look at what the inscription says. Yeah, and then you get some people who are prisoners. I can't work out what they are. They got that kind of Syrian beard, I want to say. So these might be Hittites. I'm not sure. Could be Hittites. But then look at this guy. This guy looks definitely Kemetic, or at least either Kemetic or Kushite, but I would say Kemetic. So this might be some kind of internal uprising where they've maybe got some Hittite mercenaries or something like that. That looks really interesting. Because yeah, that guy is definitely, that everything about his attire, the usek, the hairstyle, maybe, yeah, he just looks Kemetic, but these people do not. So this is interesting. They're all bound together. So maybe this was some kind of uprising or something that was thwarted. And look here, something going on here. Once again, these people look like they might be Kemetic as well. They look like they're raising banners and standards. I'm not sure. Let's have a look at what this is. I'm very intrigued now. Oh, I got another facelift there. Look at that one. How beautiful is that? This is my own. I'm so happy with this because, you know, for so long I've had to rely on other people capturing these images, and you have to understand, I was so happy to be able to capture my own. This is mine and my diary. I'm going to put this out on the web. I'm going to make this available to everyone. So when people try and tell you, oh, it's rare, it doesn't exist, oh, it's rarely used, this, that, and the other, I'll just hit them. Boom. Boom. Talk to the face, not the hand. Talk to the face. Yeah? Talk to the face. Tell the face that, yeah? Tell this broad African face. Yeah? Anything you want to tell it. It's up to you. So yeah, I was over the moon to be able to capture that. So this is a boat trip of the. So I didn't get that last stela, which is really annoying. The plaque for the last one, because that scene was really interesting. But we have boat trip for the royal couple on the occasion of a celebration. Oh, here's another nice close up. So yeah, wonderful. So here's the boat trip. So is that what was going on here? No, this is a different one. So it looked like they're propping up a boat here or something. Oh no, they're rowing. These dudes are rowing. So these dudes are rowing. Yeah, these dudes are rowing. So on some big kind of boat, and they're rowing. Interesting. Okay. Let's keep it moving. I think we're moving to another room now. I'm gonna skip over some of these. I am, because I want to kind of get to the good stuff now, because it's getting a little bit late and I don't want to tire out before I've finished up today. So I'm going to skip a little bit unless I've got something really important that I want to say. So I'm just going to skip through and just let you view them shortly. If you need to kind of like have a longer view, you're very welcome to go back and hit the pause button. But this is what you'll be confronted with if you go to the Neues Museum. These tombs are humongous. I was just like, how the hell did they move these when I saw these sarcophaguses and these? I'm not even sure what these are here, but they're massive. There are a few of these papyrus. And then these kind of hieroglyphs, which were a mix of hieratic, because some of these aren't. If you look at the way some of these glyphs are drawn, this is now outside of like the strict rules of hieroglyphs. So this is when they started using the hieratic script, which is kind of like a shorter, or more of a shorthand script. But this is kind of like almost in between pictographic and hieratic. So it's like kind of right in the middle. But these were interesting to capture. Osiris, pictured as the Great Black. Okay. Holding the crook and flail. So this is a depiction of Osiris. I think I've mentioned before that a lot of people do go a bit overboard with the fact that Osiris is depicted green. But I think I've stressed before that the color green or blue, that really the pigment used there is indigo. So the use of indigo at the base mixed with a darker pigment would produce the richest black. So I believe a lot of these depictions of Osiris where he looks like he's green, that's not the deliberate color, because Osiris, like Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop said, his name was the Great Black. So I believe most of those depictions wanted to depict him in black, but not a kind of just like a dark black, like maybe Amos Nefertari used, but actually the literal jet black, the blackest, darkest black, like what you see here. I believe that would have been what the target would have been. So I think that was what I think this is often what's being targeted when they're trying to depict Osiris. I've got a bit of the plaque there. Oops, let me go back. Sorry, let me see what that plaque says. I'm interested to see it here. What does it say? Oh, stop skipping. Stop doing that. Is that as close as I can get? Once again. Okay, I'm going to zoom right in and I'm going to scroll if it lets me. Yeah. Sorry, bear with me. I'm interested to see what this plaque says. And I can't read that. Okay, move on. Let's move on. Now, this piece. Now, why did I capture this piece? Why did I capture this piece? No one's going to guess this. No one's going to guess this, but I had to capture this piece because when I caught this piece, it was like a Jonathan Waters would say, got him. He always like sends me like messages and says, got him, when he finds like a paper. I saw this and I was like, got him. And none of you are going to know why, but I'm going to tell you why now, why I saw this. And I was like, got him. So this piece, I want you to see this, yeah? Male statue with rosette diadem. Okay, I saw it straight away, and that is what. Listen, rosette diadem. Okay, I want you to note that. Okay, rosette diadem. Now, bear in mind, I'm not in an Egyptian room anymore. I believe I'm in a. One second. Or maybe I'm Italy. Oh, sorry, let me Nicosia. That's what it is. So I think this is is it an Etruscan room? One second, let me just quickly remind myself. I think it was Etruscan. I can't remember, but it's either really really late period, as in like really really late period, or it's European. I couldn't remember, but I think it was Nicosia. In fact, I'm gonna let you know. Let me not give you false information. I'm gonna find out exactly what that is. I think it was Nicosia. One second. Yeah, Cyprus. There you go. That's what I thought. So this is a Greek piece, okay? Or Cyprus, maybe. Yeah, maybe like yeah. But let's just call it a Greek piece for want of a better word, yeah. And I saw that rosette diadem, and I was like, got him. Someone tell me why was I shouting, got him, when I saw this rosette. I want to see if anyone knows why why I saw this rosette diadem, and I was like, yep. Don't tell me nothing. Don't tell me nothing, because I know when something does not fit. And I also want you to note the hair poking out underneath. Does anyone know why? I'll see if anyone gets in the comments when I'm going to pull out, and I'm going to pull it up on the screen in a second. But I'm going to do that and see if anyone actually gets the reason why I shouted, got him, when I saw that. I want to see if anyone knows why. I'll be interested, because I think I'm one of these real suckers for that kind of detail. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put it on the screen now. See if anyone got this. So this is why I shouted, got him. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, this is one of their lovely kind of like regularly pulled out fakes. This is Nofret. Yeah? So this is Nofret and Rahotep, allegedly. Yeah? And Nofret and Rahotep have broken a million rules in Kemetic artifacts. First of all, this is supposed to be Old Kingdom. Now, you saw the state of Sahure's tomb that I showed you guys, yeah? Or Sahure's steles. Old Kingdom, 5th dynasty. Yeah, this is supposed to be around that same period. Okay, this is Old Kingdom. Look at the preservation of the color. These are two of the most obvious fakes that you'll ever come across. They were literally painted the other day. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you'll never, in Kemetic history, apart from Nofret and Nefertiti, you will never see, ever in history, see women painted like this. Ever. That is not a skin tone used in the Kemetic artwork, ever. But they've reeled this out. And one of the things that obviously caught my eye was the fact that they created this fake a long time ago. The Germans created this fake a long time ago, and that's before they knew about many of the conventions. So Rahotep sitting over here has got a clearly painted on mustache. He's got the wrong hand up when he's sitting in this pose, so he's using the wrong hand to pose with. They've just done it all wrong. His hair, like, it's just everything about Rahotep is incorrect. And Nofret, the thing that always bothered me was this diadem, because I was like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? That's not a princess's diadem. And it's like, oh, floral diadem. So, I'm searching throughout Kemetic history. I was like, Kemetic people didn't have a floral diadem. There is no floral diadems in dynastic Kemet. We do not use floral diadems. This is not even something that is a part of Kemetic culture. So obviously I was like, so what they've done is they've clearly tried to, there may be these fakers perhaps are probably more schooled in classical cultures like Greek, and Roman, and they've ported over some of those ideas and just thought, oh yeah, well no one's gonna notice. Got him. Yeah, that's where you got the idea from for your floral diadem, and with the hair, because that's another thing. When have you ever seen Kemetic with their hair pouring over their forehead, nearly touching their eyebrows like that? Never, never. These are all conventions that are just, you just don't find them. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, yeah, okay. Take your Greek culture and your fake statue and keep it out of Kemet, please. We're not buying it. No one ever bought it. I don't even know why these are still regarded as being real. Yeah, I don't even know why these are regarded as being real. There's stuff you can buy on eBay that look more real than this crap statue, and I will say that this is absolute crap. Absolute crap. Get this crap out of any ancient Kemetic exhibit, because this is just a fake they've pulled up and they've just tried to take over the wrong culture. Yeah, rosette diadems not used in Kemet, not a Kemetic trend, and you've tried to port it into the old kingdom and just thought no one's gonna notice that BS. Get the heck out of here. Get out of here. So yeah, that's my goddamn. that's my goddamn moment. So yeah, I was really happy to see that, actually, because like, if there's one good thing about seeing these kind of like other period artworks, you can see, yeah, how look how different these are as well. Just look at the features as well. Just looking at this one in particular, you'll never, remember I was telling you earlier, you'll never see lips like this in Kemet. Never in a million years. Never. There's not single artifact with lips like this. Not a single artifact. And like I said, that's not to say that these lips are outside of the African range. You'll see a few people, but for some reason you just didn't see any of this in Kemet. You see from super thick like Amenhotep III and Akhenaten to mildly thick, but nothing below that. So just come on, you know. Anyway, let's keep it moving. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. I felt good. I felt that's a garden moment. Okay, let's keep it moving. Headrests. Those of you who've seen my documentary on headrests knows I was so happy to see this, just to see one in life. I'm actually going to purchase a headrest. You can buy headrests online, and then real like genuine African ones, and ones even dating back to the 19th century, and they're not that expensive. So for like, if you do a good bit of shopping around for like under 100 quid, you can get yourself a relatively old, maybe like 20th century or late 19th century genuine African, maybe not Egyptian, but genuine African headrest. So I'd love to get a little bit of a, headrest collection going, man. That would be amazing. But yeah, I saw this Egyptian one, and obviously just the continuity of our culture rings true. This is an African tradition, for those of you who don't know. Headrests are used nowhere else other than the African continent and Polynesia, and in China and Japan, where they had extensive ethnotrichological trend. These are the only cultures that have ethnotrichology as a practice in their cultures, i.e. they express their kind of like seniority and their aristocracy through hairstyles. They express their kingship through hairstyles. Only cultures to do that are the Polynesians, the Japanese / Chinese, and the African cultures. They're the only ones to practice that trend, and so we're the only ones with these headrests. Okay, this is just a really nice painting that I thought I'd capture. Okay, and this is not even that old, but once again, this kind of goes nicely hand in hand with my documentary 1925, when you can see, do you know there's a reason why when the early Egyptologists, even the racist ones, came to Egypt, they had two arguments about what ancient Kemet was. Two. Okay, one, ancient Kemet was a black civilization. Okay, undebatably black, and that would be like your Devolny, your Champollion. Yeah, they would say it was just a black civilization. They were Africans, the same as the ones that are here. And the other one was they were mostly black, but the rulers were white. You notice how the early Egyptologists, none of them claimed that they were Arabs. None of them claimed that they were tanned people. They didn't even make that argument. That wasn't a part of the kind of like the repository of arguments. And why is that the case? Well, the reason that's the case is because back when they were going, ancient Kemet looked, or sorry, I shouldn't say ancient, when they were going, Egypt looked a lot more like Sudan than it does now. That's why. Egypt looked a lot more like Sudan not too long ago. And it doesn't take very long to really shift the populace. And I just captured this painting just to kind of like capture the fact that, you know, Egypt has this very kind of like Sudanic feel about it. I just found that quite interesting. Let's just see when that was painted. So yeah, it was painted in the kind of like late 19th, very, very early 20th century. Yeah, so here we go, late 19th century, 1873 to 74. You can see his face of a very different Egypt, just much like my 1925 documentary, where you see kind of like, and that's not to say that other races weren't there, because they absolutely were, but it's just in terms of the balance, they approached it and they entered it as being an African nation. To them, it was just a part of Africa, and it's funny how that's shifted, and it's not shifted like, it's not really, really old. A lot of people think that goes back, oh, well, the Arabs invaded and such. Yeah, but it still remained, like Sudan, still remained very much a dark populace. I think a lot of that is very recent, because you've seen that happen across the entire quote-unquote Middle East. I've mentioned before that I spent a good amount of time in Qatar, and Qatar has a black population, a very firm indigenous black population who were in leadership. And then they had the leadership stripped from them, and it was given to an Asian family who run Qatar now, called the Al Thanis. But that family has its roots in India. The ruling family before the Al Thanis were indigenous black Qataris. And as a result, now if you look at the population of Qatar, you'd never guess that. You'd just think, oh, it's just one of these kind of like light Turco-Syrian populations, and it wasn't. If you go back just literally just over 100 years ago, it was almost an entirely black nation. So it's really bizarre how these shifts happen so quickly, but they do. Let's move on. I don't know, whose face was this? Whose face was that? So that's a mummy mask from Old Kingdom. Yeah, so look at that. How very African face there. I'm not sure who that is. It just says mummy mask. Some more very African features there, just kind of fragments captured. That looks very Armana-like, I want to say. Fragment of royal portrait, yeah, and study of nose and lips. It is Armana. So 18th dynasty, Armana. You know Armana as soon as you see it, isn't it? And there's just something about the way that's been captured there. It looks very Armana-like. I'm gonna look at the comments a little bit, see what's going on. Let me just pick a comment to put on the screen, a new one. I did really enjoy myself, Tracy. I did. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I like that one from R.J. Mackenzie. Even if you see the paintings from the 1800s, places like Saudi Arabia, the people there are dark. You know, the people are still dark in Saudi Arabia. This is the irony. Saudi Arabia is another place that people just don't realize there's a massive black population. And the issue a lot of these people is self-identification. Right now, the USA is bombing the crap. USA and the UK are bombing the crap out of Yemen. Yemen, for all of their crimes and all of their irritation, is a black nation. Your average Yemenite doesn't look any different to your Horn African, honestly. Yemen and Oman are pretty much black nations. So many times I met Yemeni people, and I'm normally good at guessing where people are from, and they're just Habesha. So I always like, where are you from? You look Ethiopia, Eritrean. No, I'm Omani. I'm like, oh, cool. Like most of these populations are very much indistinguishable from the Habesha. The Qataris who I mentioned earlier, they're not like the Habesha. They literally, the black Qataris look like African Americans. So they are, and they're incredibly, incredibly good looking people. The black Qataris, by the way, really, really one of the best looking. And I know this is very subjective, but I'm going to be honest with you. One of the best looking kind of like black populations you'll come across are the black Qataris. Very, very well groomed and yeah, gorgeous people there. But yeah, if you have an opportunity to go to Qatar, do look out for them. Because a lot of the time I just thought they were like, you know, I just thought they were just like, you know, rich black people dressed up in Arab clothes. You know what I mean? I thought they were just like, I'll be like, yo, what's going on? And then they'll be totally speak Arab, wouldn't speak any English. I'll be like, oh, okay, sorry. Well, some of them did speak English. Yeah. Yeah, let's keep it moving then. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so this one you should recognize that face. I recognize that straight away because I've done a reconstruction of him. That's good old Amenemhat the Third, I believe. Oh, 1 second. Did I not take a picture of the plaque? I probably didn't because I knew who it was, so I'll keep that one moving. Does anyone recognize this fellow? This is where we're now in the area of the famous plaques now. So you should start to recognize some of these. This is a famous one that I've come across so many times. I'm so glad I managed to get such a beautiful detailed image of this. This might be one of my next reconstructions actually on that note. Got a wonderful side view as well. Really amazing bust. Oh, was that I did for the image? I didn't get the plaque. Okay, so now I'm worried because I can't entirely remember who it is. It's I want to say Pepe. I want to say Pepe, but I could be wrong. I want to say Pepe the Second or something like that. Someone tell me whose bust that is. I feel like I should remember it, and it has actually evaded me at the moment. It's wonderful artwork here. This is interesting because I can't figure out what's going on here. Is this supposed to be blue or is this blue underneath? Like, this is really bizarre what's going on here. I'm not sure what the target color was there. It's like it's got the blue hands, but then did they try painting over it or something? This is bizarre. This is weird. This is quite weird. I think Yemen was a part of Abyssinia, if I remember correctly, so that's why there's Habesha people there. I'm not sure. I don't think obviously the entire population has now been, you know, the entire Arabian Peninsula has had a massive, you know, Ottoman influx. But I think, yeah, historically Yemen and Oman were part of the Abyssinia or the Habesha Empire. So, you know, I think that's where the shared phenotype comes across. We all know who this one is. One of the most famous queens. Actually, one of my proudest reconstructions was this one. Should I pull it up side by side? Have a quick look. My reconstruction of Amos Nefertari. Yeah, that would be cool. Let's do that. I'm gonna just pull up my reconstruction. Maybe I'll pull up some of my reconstructions side by side of these so we can kind of appreciate them together. Queen. If I can find it. Where are you gone? Oh, here it is. Boom, 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 boom. This is annoying. I can't find my actual final one. This is kind of like a early-ish one, not quite the last one that I done, but I'll pull it up anyway so we can all see it. This is my reconstruction of Amos Nefertari. Very proud of this. I feel like it does her justice. I don't know. I feel like it does. From the various kind of like statues. And I think there's more statues of Amos Nefertari. So when I kind of pull them up beside each of them, you'll see how it kind of like, yeah. So I'll be surprised if you haven't seen that before. If you haven't, please do check out my shorts. I've got a short about it. I think that I've got a long version as well, but I'm not sure if it's on YouTube. So there's Amos Nefertari, painting from the tomb. Let's move forward. Now this, I was so happy to see this. Does anyone recognize this fella? This is also Amenemhat III. Okay, also Amenemhat III. And I used this bust, but obviously not my own image of it. But I used this bust when I did my recent reconstruction of Amenemhat III. So I'm just going to pull up my reconstruction. He looks younger in this one than my reconstruction. I think I've got an age-adjusted Amenemhat III that I can compare it to. So I'm going to hopefully look for that age-adjusted version, try and find the younger Amenemhat III so we can just run a quick comparison between the two. I think this is the age-adjusted one. Yeah, so this is the age-adjusted one, which I think has almost a similarish kind of age. Here's my Amenemhat III. Quite happy with that. I think the instant thing that jumps out is you could say, yeah, the nose could definitely be narrowed at the bridge. And this is because when he gets older, his nose does take on a much more flatter, broader shape, which is totally normal. It actually looks like to me that he may have broke his nose at the bridge. Yeah, I actually think it may. Yeah, it looks like he may have broke his nose at the bridge when he got a bit older. So if I was to redo this reconstruction, I'd just spend a little bit of time, because this is just an automatic kind of age adjustment. I would spend a little bit of time just reshaping the nose. But other than that, I'm quite happy with the rest of it, maybe make the eyes a bit bigger. But I'm quite happy with the rest of it as being a good reflection of him there. So I'm okay with that. Anyway, let's move on. So I've got a side view, like I said, because I really like, look at that, just a very typically African face. But I get all the views, like I said, once again, so it helps or aids of my future reconstructions. So both sides, and then I believe that's just, so you can see there, I think this is an image to kind of illustrate that he may have broken his nose. So this is, I think he looks slightly older in this one than he did in the last one, and you can see the nose is taken on that kind of slightly kind of like, yeah, a slight kind of like tweaking the bridge there. I think this is Amenemhat III again, just looking at the face structure and the eyes and everything. This still reminds me of Amenemhat III, but this one's really damaged. I never saw this one before, but I still captured it from all angles because it can, these can all work together to help me to enhance my reconstructions. Who's this? Let's have a look. This is This one is Sobek Hotep V of the 13th or 14th dynasty. So this is a relatively new one to me. I hadn't seen it before. Once again, got it from the side. Sometimes you really can't appreciate how African many of these statues are until you capture them from side view, and you kind of see the orthographic projection and the zygomatic projection on the cheekbones, and it just looks. It's all of these things that fall together that make you know very confident you're looking at an African person. Now this one has a late period feel to it. Once again, I'd say. So this is Ptolemy the 10th. So this is a Greek, or at least a mixed Kemetic. So this is well into the Greek rule we're talking about here. So once again, it's not just the face. It's not just the face, which just doesn't have the same structure as the kind of like the full Kemetic African faces. It's also the style as well. Once again, the conventions start to get broken. You're looking at that hair, and this is just not something you see in the way it's being portrayed. It's not something you see in dynastic Kemet. So it makes it easy to spot. But I captured it from a couple of sides nonetheless. Okay. So who is this? I'm almost scared to guess, because I want to say Hatshepsut because it looks like Hatshepsut, but every time I guess Hatshepsut, it comes up as Thutmose the fourth, I think. They look, I don't know why they look identical. Maybe that was her pharaoh name, who knows? But I always get them, mixed up somehow. But this is Hatshepsut, I think. I got it from the side. Oh, I didn't get the thingy. I'm going to assume it's Hatshepsut anyway, because it looks like Hatshepsut. And once again, she wears that. And I talk about this hair piece that they wear as well, this kind of hair bag, this kind of, I want to say an afro cap, so to speak, or a hair cap. Because if you look at the volume of it, you're dealing with, I imagine when I look at this, I imagine very vast amounts of Nubian / Ethiopic style hair, really big, broad African hair. That's what I imagine. I do imagine African hair, and I imagine lots of it kind of being wrapped and supporting this crown. That's what goes on in my mind when I see this. Very big, broad African hair that gives the cut. That's what this crown's called. Gives the cut its shape. Who is this? Trying to remember. Please say I got the plaque. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a Hatshepsut. See, I would never have guessed that. See, I was about to say it looks like football. See what I mean? I always get them mixed up. So this is Hatshepsut, apparently. No, I think there's definitely something for suggesting that Hatshepsut and Thutmose III were the same person. I'm sorry, I know that sounds really bizarre, but once again, I'm just saying this based purely on the facial features. Once again, these pharaohs tended to have very, very distinctive facial features, so you can just look at a statue and kind of like say that's this person, this is that person. And I constantly am tripping up over Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, who I think was supposed to be husband and wife, I think, but they look the same. So maybe it was just kind of like a different type. I don't know. This is I've got nothing to substantiate this other than the fact they have exactly the same face, which is really peculiar if they're not the same person. Very peculiar. See, even they're confused. Look, head of a statue, Queen Hatshepsut or King Thutmose III. So look, it's not just me. They're as confused as I am. So I'm glad to know, look, even the museum creators can't tell them apart. Very bizarre. Yeah. But anyway, that's one for a future video. I'm not going to go into that too much. This one looks bizarre. Okay, this one just doesn't. Anyway, who's this? Okay, Ptolemy the Third. I knew it. So this is once again, this is Ptolemaic or Greek period. So this is not Kemetic. It's just something. Once again, I looked at the face. One of the big giveaways is just when the top lip kind of like turns in towards the bottom. That's a big clue that you're looking at someone who's maybe slightly outside of the African range. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. So I wouldn't. Just to be clear, there's. I do say, you know, Africans can have any features. You hear me say that quite a lot. But there is a line that I kind of draw when I look at a face and I'll say, I'm struggling to place this as an African. And this would be one of them. I'm not saying there's not African in there, but I'd struggle to place this as a full African. I would, like, there's no way I would do this reconstruction and then just make him a dark-skinned African, because to me, there's too many features that are falling outside. So to me, this is definitely more leaning towards kind of the mixed / European end, how it all falls together. So yeah, I wouldn't just be able to apply African. It has to look African for me to believe it's African, you know. Can I recreate Hatshepsut? I'm definitely gonna give it a try because I keep getting rushed. But now we are on to the Queen pin. We are on to Queen Taya. And this is my own image of this bust. Now, let me ask you guys a question. How big do you think this bust is? Because I always thought it was life size. How big do you think this is? This bust of Queen T. Because I'm going to tell you now, yeah? The bust of Queen T is about the size of a golf ball. Maybe between a golf ball and a tennis ball. It's tiny. I couldn't believe how small it was. It's really, really small. To the point when I walked in and I was like, oh, that's a really nice, I was like, that's a really nice replica. And then I was looking at it and I was like, that's the real thing. This is it. this is the bust of Queen T. It's so small. It's unbelievable. But it's just, that just makes it more impressive, to be totally honest with you, because it's so small, but the detail is just absolutely exquisite. You're like, how did they squeeze that much detail into something so small? It's really, really impressive. But yeah, this is it. This tiny, tiny bust of Queen T, which I captured, and I was so happy because I was like, I've got my own image of it now. So I've got really, well, decent detail. I should have, but this is my phone camera, and it was just before I upgraded my phone, so it did a good job, but my new camera would have captured it much better than this, to be totally honest with you. So it's a bit of a gutting. But yeah, there you go. Nice dead center image. And it's done at the right focal length as well, so the nose isn't distorted. This is how the nose should look. Because there's so many images online of Queen T, but then people post them with agendas, so they either color shift it, okay, or they take it under lighting to make the features look a certain way. This was great because I got to take the image myself and do it from non-distorted angles and just capture it in its true form. So this is how the bust of Queen T looks. You know, this is how it looks. Here's a nice side view. So you see that beading you saw in my reconstruction. In fact, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that whole reconstruction side by side thing, aren't I? Let's do that. Let's do the reconstruction side by side thing. So let's find Queen Taya. I always say Queen T, but the name is actually Queen Taya, and Taya is actually a very common name in Nigeria. Very common name. It's actually similar to one of my middle names, but I don't like to give away too much. Let's see if I can find her. Oh, I know where it is, because I want to show you the one that I've done with the blue crown. I've got kind of several versions, but I want to show you the one. In fact, let me show you the one. Yeah, let me show you the one with the blue crown. Boom, boom, boom. Bear with me. I'll pull up in a second. Crowns. Here we go. Here. So there you go. So there's my reconstruction of Queen Taya with the blue crown. I now know actually I'm gonna do the crown a bit different because someone actually wrote to me and said to me, you know what? They said to me, um, they think that the crown that I've gone for, because I'd never seen it. I kind of created it. Basically, I created this crown based on the second image that I showed you, which was this one. Okay, and based on the fact that we have these beads, and I was like, okay, so the crown obviously on the head was made from some kind of beads. All right, so I created this thinking, okay, this is kind of what she had. And all the dimensions here match what you see here. So there's nothing here that I kind of like, there's nothing that I changed. Everything matched perfectly. However, okay, so this is my big however. Someone drew my attention to something and I was like, yeah, you don't know. That's correct. And it was really insightful. So I'm just going to quickly show you what someone showed me. I'm just going to quickly show you what someone showed me. So, bear with me, guys. I'll be with you in a second. As soon as my mouse starts to appear, here we go. Someone showed me this, and I was like, I think you're onto something. Why did I not think of that? So this is what someone showed me, and I was like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Someone told me, I can't remember who it is because I'd love to give them credit for it, but they said, I think that crown is a depiction of what you see here. And I was like, yeah, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? Because look, they've even got the top headpiece, that top piece. In fact, Queen T's might even be like this one, where it's kind of like, yeah, these concentric rows, and then it falls. So it was designed to kind of like fall down around here. And I was like, yeah, that looks right. That makes sense because if you look, the crown is exact. Have a look at the crown here. The crown is exactly the same. Look, that's the same crown being worn there. So there's not supposed to be a gap here. That gap is supposed to be filled with these kind of like gold tassels. Can you see these gold tassels at the bottom? So you're supposed to have these gold tassels down there, and then the rest of the crown is supposed to be there. Who's saying that was me? I'm gonna give you your props right now. Thank you. I told you I was listening because when you said that to me, I was like, yes, that makes sense. So I believe that this is the crown that Queen T is being depicted in here. I know this isn't Queen T, this is Tut's wife, but you know, we're only talking about a couple of generations away and exactly the same crown. So I'm going to try my best to recreate this. So that's my next thingy. So I'm going to augment this, change this, and I'm going to change it so that I recreate Queen T in this hairstyle because I believe that is what's being depicted here. And that was a massive, massive shout from Retain Ascension. So that'll be pretty groundbreaking when we do that reconstruction because no one's had that interpretation before. So thank you for sharing that. Always love to give credit where it's due. It's going to take a little while for me to recreate that crown, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, there you go. So let me keep moving. I don't see. I'm gonna be honest with you. Seeing this, I don't think the afro is the cover. I'm just want to kind of like address this comment here. Okay, Queen T, without a doubt, had afro hair. Okay, regardless of how we see it depicted, because like most Kemetic people, the afro is determined by the volume. Okay, many of these hairstyles they just can't be upheld if you have flat or lank hair. You need to have afro hair to hold these beads and hold these crowns in position. So me stating that Queen T was wearing this hairstyle is not to say that she doesn't have afro hair. She absolutely does. But I'm going to tell you right now that this texture that you see here, Kemetic people were very expert with their art. And this is very, I look at this here, and this, you see the way, you can see that beads used to be stuck on the surface of this. Okay, this is an adhesive layer that used to have beads stuck on it, which is why I'm quite confident that this was a beaded crown, which is why I made her depiction or changed her depiction to show it like this, because that makes more sense to me from what I'm perceiving here. If they wanted to depict kind of like an afro, they were very, very, very capable of finding some kind of pattern to do it. In fact, it might have even used concentric circles because they like to do that with afros. But it doesn't change the fact, and this is the kicker, people, please listen to me. It doesn't change the fact that Queen T's hair was afro. It doesn't change that fact. This doesn't have to be a depiction of an afro for Queen T to have afro hair. I think this is evidence enough that there was blue beads in it, and I think the adhesive kind of pattern that I'm seeing here suggests to me that this was a beaded crown before. That's my personal perspective. I feel like it needs to be an afro to prove that Queen T was, a beautiful African queen. Okay. But that's just my perspective. And you are very, very welcome to have your own. I'm not saying anyone here is wrong, but I think that makes the most sense to me. If I'm going to be totally honest with you, that makes the most sense. Okay. Yeah. That ninja, thank you very, very much for your donation. I really, really appreciate you. Let's read your comment. What is your opinion on the lice argument? Oh, bollocks. On the lice argument. Because to my knowledge, head lice is an issue for our hair type. It's not. And it's harder for them to get a good grip to stay in our hair. Do you know one of the reasons why Africans don't have head lice as well? It's breeding. Head lice are actually passed on through interbreeding. That's what they won't tell you. So it's not just the hair texture, it's the fact that you need kind of like long-term breeding habits for the lice to adjust to your kind of I think you need long-term breeding habits for the lice to kind of like adjust and kind of like change to develop a taste and be able to kind of latch onto you. Okay, so it's basically because I think the lice, if I remember correctly, I think the lice was another Neanderthal inheritance. So yes, you are correct. Lice are very, very rare in the African population, almost non-existent. We pretty much don't get lice in Africa. So the lice argument is a baloney. It's one of these ones that has no support in the Medunetta, no support in written literature, no support in contemporaneous literature, literally something that's made up, like the iconicalism argument, just totally made up, pulled out of thin air, pulled out of an Egyptologist's backside to excuse the fact that they all had African hair and to give them an excuse for all wearing wigs. Why is ancient Egypt the only civilization in the history of mankind where everyone wore wigs? Because they had afro hair. That's the answer to that question. Okay, end of conversation. Moving on. Yeah, they had afro hair. They're not comfortable with it, so they're gonna suggest that they all had wigs. Moving on. That's. Thank you for raising that point. It's just absolutely so asinine and stupid, the arguments that they make. But yeah, there's no evidence that there was widespread leak. Look, 1 second. Let's just look at this logically. They're going to suggest that ancient Egyptians who were black had a widespread lice problem, but you've never heard of a widespread lice problem. Why weren't all the Romans and the Greeks walking around with bald heads, considering it's white people that suffer with lice and not black people? Why weren't all the British, walking around with bald heads? Because everybody knows that, British people get lice and verrucas like there's no tomorrow. So why weren't they all walking around with bald heads? Oh, we got to cut our hairs off and we all got to wear wigs because we're all suffering from lice here. Why is it only the Africans who don't get lice all cut their hair off because lice they had a lice infestation? I believe the letters are FOH. With that BS. FOH with that BS, please. Absolute nonsense. Yeah, lice outbreaks are very, very common in non-African. I guarantee you, you talk to people, they could go to school in the middle of the hood or the middle of the ghetto or the middle of, you know, the middle of rural Africa. No one ain't never heard of no lice outbreak. Okay, that's just be honest. Yeah, come on. I mean, possibly, possibly, but I don't think so. Watch my documentary on the crowns of Kemet. I think the beads. I think you raise a good point because the beads in my reconstruction are really big and heavy looking. But actually, covering your hair with beads is very normal. Watch my crowns documentary. You see how the Nguni, sorry, not Nguni. You'll see how the Igbo and the Benin women use beads all over their hair. They'll have a hairstyle and they'll wrap it entirely in beads, and it's totally, totally normal. It used to be done amongst the Edo people of Nigeria as well, or modern Nigeria and Benin as well. So please do have a look at those. Yeah, have a look at that documentary. I think the beads hypothesis is very sound and also very much in keeping with African cultural continuity. Um, so there's a back view which I've never seen before, but hey, I got it. So I was really happy to have that back view of this. I've never seen that before. I mean, and the once again, just going back to this kind of hair thing. So once again, this will give you a nice uniform view of that kind of adhesive and the fact that the beads have gone missing, and also supporting the fact that it's the same hairstyle as Tut's wife. There, look how that pattern disappears in the bottom half, suggesting that the beads fall from here. So from over here, they're stuck to the top, and then from here, the beads fall. I can't wait to recreate it and see what you think anyway. I'd love to recreate it and see what you guys think. I think everything suggests us right, from the crown being exactly the same, and the color and the blue and everything just seems to sit right for me, that is a depiction of that crown. So I think we're onto something there, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm always open to be corrected, and I don't want to kind of like shoot down anyone's point of view because I could be absolutely wrong in this. But right now, I think everything adds up that makes sense to me. Amenhotep the third. I'm sure you recognized him there straight away. Um, should you pull up my reconstruction? Since we're doing reconstruction comparisons, I've got a young Amenhotep the third that's almost around the same age as this. Boom, 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 boom. I think this is the one. Yeah. So this is my age-adjusted Amenhotep the third. So this is the one that I've adjusted to make it look younger. Eyes are a bit. Well, no, this is not the right one. That one's a bit too young. I think I've got one that's a better age. That's kind of like a more of a middle age to match this bust a bit better. Okay, I don't have him. I do have a younger one, but I don't have him with the right crown. So you have to use your imagination when you see him. So there he is. Yeah, this one. So there's my age-adjusted Amenhotep the third. Now the one change I would make is I'd make the eyes a bit closer. So once again, this is just based on an older bust that I age-adjusted using AI. I haven't gone in there and really changed it and modified it. So there are a few changes that I'd make. I'd kind of like increase that distance, that alveolar distance between the nose and the top lip. I'd make the top lip a bit smaller, and I'd make the eyes a bit closer. But yeah, so that's why you can see I just used a face lab. That's like an AI that adjusts the age for you. So it was based on the older reconstruction, and then I just age adjusted it, and it looked really close, but not like spot on exact. But I love this bust, and And I look forward to making slight revisions to these kind of age adjustments to make them match a bit better. But yeah, there's our young Amenhotep, wonderful African ruler there. So I got the side views as well. Does anyone recognize this one? This is another famous bust, or a famous kind of like, I'm not sure if it's a sarcophagus lid. Got it from several angles. I think, if I remember correctly, it might be Queen T, this one. I wish I'd got, I don't know why I just skipped the plaques. Okay, let me hit some comments really quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, last argument was definitely suspect. Amenhotep III net worth $4 trillion. We haven't seen one person have that fortune in 3,000 years. But we on pace seeing it with Jeff and Elon. I didn't know that. What a fact. I did not know that. So was he richer than Mansa Musa, I'm guessing? I do have slight issues with this kind of rhetoric, though. And this is me being picky once again. I have a real problem when they talk about Mansa Musa, the richest individual, but they don't talk about the kingdom of Mali, the richest kingdom. It does bother me. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I remember seeing a documentary about Mansa Musa, and obviously trying to stomach a documentary about any African king that's not done by an African is going to be hard work. Because these people can't help but look down upon us. But they really did their best to kind of portray him as a despot, as this kind of, and you could see all of those like modern biases and modern stereotypes you have of African rulers not giving a shit about their people, using their people like dirt and building their own wealth. And all of that was coming through. And when you start talking about rulers of kingdoms, and then you start talking about their individual wealth, have you noticed they never use this rhetoric for their own? Have we ever had a discussion about the individual wealth of a European ruler, of Julius Caesar? What was Julius Caesar's net worth? What was Queen Elizabeth II's net worth before she died? Because I can tell you right now, Queen Elizabeth II was the richest woman on the planet, and the richest woman this planet has ever seen. The Crown of the UK own all land in Canada. So all land in Canada is Crown land. Do you know what that means? That essentially means that every person who thinks they own a house in Canada actually rents that house from the UK. That's what all mortgages in Canada. You're renting your house from the Queen. It's Crown land, the entirety of the Canadian landmass. And also about 60% of the UK is Crown land, all of central London. So if you come to London and you've been to WC1, WC1 is, square foot by square foot, the richest the most expensive real estate in the world, alongside certain parts of, New York and some of these other kind of like ridiculous areas. The Queen owns every inch of the city of London. So if you've heard of City of London, the Queen owns every single inch of it. That woman is beyond, her wealth is beyond measure. There's people that's rich, there's Jeff Bezos, and then there's people you can't even measure their wealth. They're so far into trillions, it becomes ridiculous. So you just measure her wealth in countries. How many countries does this woman own? And obviously it's Charles now, but no one takes him seriously or thinks he's going to be around for too long. But anyway, so the point being, you never hear these people being spoken of in their net worth. In fact, they deliberately avoid that kind of discussion ever taking place. But when it comes to great African kingdoms that amass great wealth, they euphemize it. So we start talking about the individual. Oh, Mansa Musa, the richest king. Oh, Mansa Musa. No, Kingdom of Mali. City of Timbuktu, the richest civilizations who amassed their wealth, yeah, through gold trade, through salt trade, through smart enterprise, through building a civilization, through building effective library systems. No one ever talks about that. They talk about Mansa Musa, the rich individual, and they're very happy to have those conversations. So I'm just always really weary when we speak about um, African rulers in the kind of like in the context of their individual wealth. I think it's very very sneaky thing that Europeans like to do. It's a way of speaking about African history that they're comfortable with because it kind of plays into modern stereotypes about Africans. But yeah, so that's a rant over. Let's move on. Um, Head of Sinusret the first, sorry, third. Okay, so there's a head of Sinusret. Well, the nose is being slightly chiseled. There's not much left. This was really small as well. This was a tiny little bust, but it was lovely nonetheless, and I managed to capture an image of it. Should you pull up my reconstruction of Sinusret the third? Let's do that. Since we've been doing that, I might as well stay consistent. Boom. And let's pull him up with the same crown. So I'll be just 1 second. Would have been good if I had these pre-prepared, but excuse me. So here's my reconstruction of Senusret the Third. So that's actually quite a good likeness there. Not much needs to be changed. You can't really see it all because it's been chiseled slightly. He's got one of the most sabotaged noses in history, but you can see every other aspect. I've never seen this bust before, but kudos to the ancient Egyptian artisans. If you do an accurate reconstruction, it should fall into place exactly. And I think I would say this is a very good likeness. A very, very good likeness. Even with the nose missing on the statue, you can see that this is the same person. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That's a really good comparison there. Someone said, I can't remember who said it. Someone said, you need to give your Sinusret the Third some eye drops, bro. I was like, yeah, I did him a bit harsh with the red eyes, didn't I? I actually found that was quite funny. I can't remember who said that. I was like, yeah, that's true. That's actually true. Anyway, let's move on. And we all know who this is. We all know who this is. We should do. I was so glad I captured this image. Once again, the only time I've seen this bust is had Alami or Alami. I can't remember who all those Alami kind of like watermarks all over it, ruining it, not being able to see the features. But man, it was so satisfying to see this face to face and just to see the fullness of Akhenaten's features. The fullness, it was wonderful. I got to see this face to face. This is my image. I'm so very, very much happy with this. So yeah, let's stay consistent once again. Let's pull up the reconstruction of Akhenaten for comparison. So I did a recent adjustment to my Akhenaten and I showed him with his likely hairstyle. Actually, no, let me just show him in the old one with the wearing the Nemes. I don't really like the Nemes that I did here, so I'm probably gonna adjust this at some point. But we can just we can still run the comparison. So there's my Akhenaten. Looking at it in retrospect, I actually was a little bit I could actually be a bit more generous with the lips. Look at that top lip. You know, it's funny because I've seen reconstructions of Akhenaten done to make him look Arab, and they never ever make his lips as full. They don't even make his lips as full as I made them here. They always like do the shape, but they can't, because the moment you make lips that full, you know you're just dealing with an African. And this whoops, sorry, let me pull that up. This is his most realistic bust. This is the one that doesn't have any kind of like stylization to it. This is just what dude looked like. And you can just see, you know, this is just the features of an African person. Yeah, like I said, I could go and I could make the lips thicker, but I never had this kind of clean image of this bust before as I do now. So I'm really happy to have this now and add it to my collection. Yeah, there you go. There's your Akhenaten. A wonderful bust there. And Queen Nefertiti, the pair together side by side. I mean, what an absolute privilege. Once again, naturalistic bust of Nefertiti. Very naturalistic. Her features are very naturalistic. And this goes hand in hand with all of her other busts. All of her other busts, you know. If Sam and King Tut are causing, not the real King Tut, in the chat, if Sam and King Tut are causing too much trouble, are there any admins around, or all my admins kind of switched off at the same time? Because it would be nice to get rid of them. Just block them if they're being too much of a pest. I'm not reading the comments, but it sounds like they're just bothering everybody, and that's, come on guys, find something better to do. Yeah. We can't let people who troll have too much free reign, because all that happens is they'll get the live stream blocked, and we don't want that. But let me just pull up where has it gone? Bear with me, I'll be with you in just a second, as soon as I find it. Where's my Nefertiti? Here it is. Don't give up the ghost. Why are PC struggling like that? That's bizarre. Let's try again. Hopefully it won't stop halfway through. Oh, there we go. It's done it this time. Really struggle. So there's my reconstruction of Nefertiti. And once again, I feel like I could be slightly more generous with some of these features, or at least slightly more full. I say generous. But this was largely based on this bust. And then to get the nose, I looked at a few other busts, and I kind of like pulled them in. And then, yeah, everything else, feature set wise, position wise, eye shape, everything was based on this bust. So I was really, really happy with this reconstruction of Nefertiti. I think this is a really, I've had someone or a couple of people say to me I should redo this, and I don't really feel the need to at the moment. I feel like I might, but I like the likeness. Okay, so let me go to the comments. Sam says, I'm not trolling, I am asking questions and stating facts. Are we not all in search for the truth? Let's have a look at some of your questions. I'm going to decide now if you're asking questions, stating facts, or just being annoying. So let me have a look. They say there are real Egyptians, the real Jews, the real Native Americans. The only thing they are not is West Africans. Okay, yeah, you're just an idiot. Just go away. Like, sorry, I know people like attention and stuff like that, but it's just like the stupidity of that argument, first of all. Okay, this whole kind of like, West African argument. First of all, you're making an assumption that everybody on this stream is West African, and not everybody on the stream is West African. Secondly, what is West African? Because the discussion being had here has got nothing to do with relation. And this is important that everybody understands. Okay, people need to understand that people, unlike the parasitic Eurocentrics, like people like yourself who have no history to of your own to cling on to. Um, the real people who are here for history aren't interested in saying I'm related to this person. This person is my uncle. This person's my aunt. They're interested in the fact that these people were black people, because you know what, when you go to Africa, we're not all inbred, and as a result, we're not all related. In fact, there's many people in Africa, in West Africa, who I have no relation to. In fact, that's the majority of quote unquote West Africans. I'm not related to any of them. But what we share is a culture. We share an African culture. We also share a melanation, a skin tone that we were jointly persecuted for, that people didn't care what our culture was. They said, you are black, so therefore you are this. So as black people, we have every right to take pride in black accomplishments, because we don't do that based on relationship, because we were never persecuted and never classified as black based on relationship. We were persecuted and classified as black based on phenotype. We were persecuted as black based on location. And these are all the same things that we're saying, okay, cool, we're black. You're going to call us black, fine. We'll wear that label, we're black. But this is a black civilization, whether or not you like it. I don't need to be related to, although I'm sure that I wouldn't find it difficult to find, my, markers and DNA in ancient Kemet, because we already know there's bundles of Yoruba DNA over there, bundles of it. I don't need that. I don't need to claim that. That's neither here nor there. The bottom line is that the jointness that we share, the cultural continuity, is what we share, and that's something that you cannot take away from us. This is not an exercise on finding relations and finding relatives. That's the kind of discussion that usurpers like yourself feel the need to have, because you keep looking back in history and you keep realizing that you are just usurpers and you have no place in the histories in which you claim. And you've actually written yourself out of history by creating these racial divides, by saying these people are of this race or those people are of that race. And as a result of being of this race and of that race and not being white, they can't claim that. But now you realize white people didn't do that much. You feel the need, you have to now go and start trying to compartmentalize blackness. But you didn't compartmentalize blackness when we were being persecuted. So with all due respect, Sam, you don't need to be here. You can get lost. Yeah, you don't need to be here. Yeah. Thank you. Let's have a look at this wonderful donation from that ninja. Thank you very much. You've been very, very generous, man. I really appreciate you. This remake of her is beautiful, man. I don't know how people see anything else. Neither do I. That is just clearly an African woman. Okay, clearly an African woman. And, I just see it, and yeah, like I said, I really like this reconstruction. It wasn't actually, in terms of like reconstructions, it wasn't one that took me like a massive amount of time to make, but I'm so kind of like satisfied with it. I haven't revisited it yet. Maybe I will in the near future. Maybe I will. Who knows? Real bust, not without any shame. You can just see here the level of orthographic prognathism that Akhenaten has. Okay, and that's that projection. I can't remember what I was watching today, and there was a woman on there who just had the most beautiful African features, and I think I'm one of the only people that I know that speaks about this. Although I don't see many people kind of like talking about the reconstructions anyway, but just that wonderful projection that Africans get kind of from the back of the eye to the chin. It's kind of that sweeping forward motion that we get, and then at the front we have this kind of like front curve that's caused by our kind of rounded zygomatic bone. It's really a unique African feature, and once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. You just see it all the time. You see it in our artwork, you see it in the African population, and you could paint this skin whatever color you like. Okay, it's just gonna look like a black person with light skin. Do you understand? It's just got to look like an African person, because these feet, this is why when they do the reconstruction of Akhenaten, they won't keep this projection. They might even try and make the lips a bit thicker and this, that, and the other. But I guarantee you that face is going to just come down like that. They're not going to push that jawline forward in that way, because that is a African trait. Okay. Thank you very much, Nerd Large. I'm going to put your comment on in a second. In fact, I'll put it on now. So that ninja, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate your wonderful, wonderful feedback. And I'll just get that Nerd Large's comment on there. He says, "Get them before long. They'll claim ancient Nubia weren't black neither." That they're doing it already. They're doing it already. But that's why we ignore them. We don't care what they have to say. Looking forward to that Hatshepsut reconstruction. Also, tweet more. I don't tweet at all. So yeah, I need to get into the habit. Tweeting is never a habit that I got into. I just really never like formulated that habit, but I definitely need to get into it. But I really appreciate your support and your comment there, man. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, like I said, you guys know I don't have much patience for the trolleys. They just do my head in, to be totally honest with you. And they try and sit there and go, "Oh, no, I wasn't being rude. I'm just asking questions." Oh, shut up, mate. Give us a break. Look at this wonderful, beautiful profile view. That, I mean, when I see this bust, not that fake Berlin bust, I can understand why they say the beautiful woman has come, or the beautiful one has come. For Nefertiti, you know, you can see that with this true bust of hers. Oh, because actually, look, you know what, guys? It's midnight. Oh my God. I was just about to close down. Someone's just given me a $50 donation. So thank you so much. Let's get your comment on there. And I think you've bought at least another 5 minutes. I was literally about to close the stream. And now I'm going to have to keep it open for a bit longer. Thank you so much. Design Research said, "Thank you for all that you do. Detractors just make me want to support even more." Absolutely. Thank you. And it's just, they're just here to disrupt, man. And in one way, I don't like to give them the attention, but the other way, I do like to give them the attention and just make them see how stupid their arguments are before I show them the door, you know. Thank you so much. That's really, really generous of you. I really appreciate that. I appreciate all of you joining me tonight as well, to be honest with you. It's a Saturday night. It's a weird one. I'm not sure what the time is over there, but, you know. I don't know. This statue obviously is not Kemetic at all. I can't remember where this was from, but I took an image just maybe because it was a nice statue. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking Roman. I'm thinking Roman for that, but I wish I'd taken a picture of it. This is I can't remember where this is. Picture of it's not Egypt. It's somewhere, I think. What does the plaque say? Siwa Oasis, 1820. Where's the Siwa Oasis? It could be Egypt. Let's have a quick look. Let's Google that quickly. Siwa Oasis. Egypt. It is in Egypt. So what part of Egypt is this? Oh, it looks beautiful. My. Google images of the Siwa Oasis. So it's in Lower Egypt on the Libyan border. So this is in Lower Egypt on the Libyan border, 1820. And, you know, if this is anything to go by, this kind of like supports what I was saying earlier. You know, Egypt has always kind of, well, not always, in recent times had that very mixed population in the north. But I think the balance was definitely more towards it being an African populace in and around those times. But look, there's I'm not sure which ethnicity this represents. Some of these people look very, I'd say these are Ottomans. These people look Ottoman to me. So do correct me if I'm incorrect, but I'd say their dress and everything kind of resembles kind of Mamluk people. So this might be a group of Mamluks by the looks of it. Feel free to correct me if you think I'm incorrect there, but that sounds about right. I've had another donation. Thank you very much. Complex Soul the Great. You deserve more, but this is a gift for your work. Continue to do the work of the great scholar warriors. I will. And thank you for that very generous donation. Honestly, you guys have been really fantastic today. Can't say how grateful I am enough, man. Yeah, very humbling. I'm glad that these works are being appreciated by you guys, because I'm enjoying doing them. Can't say that enough. This looks dynastic. I'm trying to figure out who this is again. Who is this? Let's have a look. Head of a statue of a man, circa 2000, Theban. So 2000, that would be old king. No, that would be. I think that's first intermediary period, isn't it? If it's 2000 BC, this might be the first intermediary period. So it's just the head of a man. It looks very Kemetic to me. Yeah, but that's all it says. Head of a man. Super. So there's a side view. It's got the short twist. Very standard Kemetic head. And this one, once again, very Kemetic. I'm not sure. Once again, what is this? This is 5th dynasty. So this is Old Kingdom. Standing figure of a man. You know what was hilarious as well? I had people recently Eurocentrists have turned to you see them in comments sometimes, and they say things like, oh wow, this is just the new kingdom, have a look at the old kingdom. In the old kingdom, they look really, that's the real Egyptians, they look really European. What statues are you looking at, man? Seriously, the older ancient Kemet gets, the more pronounced the kind of like, well, I wouldn't say pronounced, the more central, let's say, the features become. Definitely the more central the features become, the more kind of like the Old Kingdom. I always say like Old Kingdom definitely gives me kind of like central slash West Africa phenotypic vibes. Middle Kingdom gives me Great Lakes vibes, and New Kingdom gives me kind of like Horn Africa slash Habesha vibes. And obviously this is, once again, this isn't a strict kind of rule set, but I feel like that's just the kind of like the theme. And this is a lot of this mindset also is based on my reconstruction. So as I'm doing the reconstructions and I'm trying to create them, this is the regions that I'm pulling from in order to get something that looks like the statues. So that's the kind of themes that I've kind of felt have built up. But yeah, that's there you go. That's a lovely kind of Old Kingdom statue there. Got a nice close up of it here. I wish I knew who this was, because I almost feel like it deserves a reconstruction. And I've got a few different views. I've seen this one as well quite a lot, kind of like floating around, so it was nice to get my own image of it. And this is head of statue of a king or prince. Once again, Old Kingdom. So it'll be really interesting when I make some good progress reconstructing all those 5th dynasty kings. I bet you I'll figure out who this is based on the projections. I'll be able to figure out who this is once I have enough reconstructions. I'll be able to say, well, based on the ones I've done in the 5th dynasty, this is XYZ. This could be Sahura, in all fairness, looking at this could be Sahura. I don't know. Let's see. So we've got side view there. This one's been healthily damaged to the nose and lips. And this is portrait of a so-called reserve head of Kabhotep? Kahotep. I was going to say Kabhotep, doesn't sound right. A couple of views there. And then this one. This looks Old Kingdom as well. Head of a statue of a man, 5th dynasty, yeah. And then you got these two kind of like pygmy looking people. So they've got very kind of short features. And this is, I think, yeah, pre-dynastic, 3000 BC. So two figures of a woman with her child. So now we're in the kind of pre-dynastic era. And the interesting thing about pre-dynastic, you do get a lot of these kind of like pygmy looking people as well. So these are quite beautiful. And obviously just, I mean, do we even need to talk about the features on these? I mean, I just obviously skipped over that, but obviously based on the fact that they're pygmy, you don't need to say anything more than that. Look at the features of the woman. I mean, it's just, look at these. I mean, come on. These are just, how could you argue about the Africanity? I went back to Queen T and took another photo. Guess I didn't think I got that one captured enough. Oh, this is beautiful. Who is this? This is head of a scribe, unknown. What a shame. What a shame this is unknown. Look at this one. This is the detail and this is beautiful. If we knew who this was, this would be definitely worth a reconstruction. Absolutely wonderful. That is beautiful. This head wouldn't look out of place in Nile. Not at all. Not in the slightest. This could fit right in Nile. Beautiful head, that. Nefertiti and Akhenaten again. And then there's our wonderful hairstyles, lovely 3D close up. So this is the sister locks made into large plaits and then loosed at the end again. And I've actually seen this done. So this is where there'll be sister locks throughout the hair. Then the sister locks will be made into braids. And then the sister locks will be unbraided towards the end, just so you get these kind of like, it's an amazing hairstyle. Once again, just continuity of African culture. How anyone could look on a statue like this and not see an African, the mind boggles, doesn't it? The mind absolutely boggles. Same here. Look how the hair's done here. If any sisters could give us some insight on how this beautiful hairstyle's achieved. All of these wonderful African hairstyles. She wears I think that's the perfume cone she has on her head there. And she's holding a cat. Wonderful. Really lovely piece that is. Okay. It's now 10 past midnight. And I'm going to wrap it up because that stream went on well long. I wasn't expecting a 3-hour stream off the back of that. But I stayed on longer, mainly because you guys' engagement and your generosity, which I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate. Thank you, everybody. We are now just about to reach the 3-hour mark. But it's been a really enjoyable stream. I think that's gonna be me kind of like wrapping it up for the Neues Museum. I can't recommend enough. Look, if you're based in Europe, it's I'd say Berlin is worth it for the number of museums it has. Obviously, it's a larger investment if you're coming from further afield. But if you can, and you've got a bit of time, I'd say it's probably worth making the journey. It was very, 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 we were very, very, very lucky to have a museum. Thank you guys so much. It's been really tired and we'll call it a day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Those of you who are tuning in from the UK, thank you for staying with me if you did stay with me so late. And thank you to all the really generous donations that have been made. Because, they're just greatly, greatly appreciated. Once again, big thank to Design Research, to Complex the Soul the Great, to Nerd Large, to that ninja. To that ninja again. Came with the absolute generosity. And I know Tracy before then made a massive donation, and someone before Tracy, I hate forgetting people's names. I should be writing these down. But thank you guys. I will watch back the stream. I am showing my utmost. There you go. I could put that. I could put this one up for Tracy. I can give you my utmost appreciation for you guys joining me, and I appreciate that you appreciate the work that I put in, because I wouldn't rather do anything else. Have a fantastic weekend, all or what's left of it, and I will see you on the next one. Hit the likes up and have a great one. Peace.